Finance and Public Accounts Committee to commence business. Those in favor, please say aye. And not in favor, please say no. As of it, on that note, welcome to the meeting, honorable members, honorable minister and the team, as well as the auditors. Agenda before us reads individual prayers, review and adoption of the agenda, consideration of annual reports, financial statements, and management letters of National Environment Agency, 21 to 23, and any other business. Can any honorable member move that we adopt the agenda?
I move the motion to adopt the agenda as it is.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that the agenda be adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And those in favor, please say no. As on that note, the agenda is adopted. Can we proceed? We've dealt with item 1 and 2. And now item 3, that is the main one. That's the consideration of annual reports, financial statements, and management letters of National Environment Agency 21 to 23. And then on that, let me welcome the members once more, and then Minister and NEA team. Yesterday, the said reports and emails were presented. That is 21 to 23. Today we'll do the consideration, and consideration will begin with the ML, then financial statements and activity report. I did see the executive director. Your presentation, summary of your presentation, you're supposed to provide a copy. Okay. About the soft copy? Huh? You said it already. Okay. Huh? Can we give the complete set to each member? Document one. Okay. Honorable members, the clerk is coming around to give you the various copies. Can we refer to the ML 2021? For the ML 2021, the first issue is about governance proceedings of the National Environment Management Council. The observation made by the auditors reads, according to Section 8.1 of the National Environment Act, the Council submit at least once every 3 months at such times and places as chairman may appoint. The council met in April 2021, but minutes of the meeting were not finalized at the time of the review, and therefore the audit recommended that the governing council should meet every 3 months and ensure minutes are prepared as required by the Act. Management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to everyone. The management comment is that the council met once in April 2021. Because of the composition of the council, which the president of the council is the chairman, the quarterly council meeting was proven to be very difficult. In the new NEMA bill, this has been proposed to reduce the quarterly meetings to twice in a year.
The president is the chair. There's no further comment from the audit. What's your take on the response before we comment?
We don't have any further comments, just that in terms of the finalization of the minutes, it is something they should have addressed as well.
The issue?
Of the finalization of the minutes for the meeting that was held.
Was I mean, at the time of the review, the minutes was not finalized.
Correct.
That was the issue.
Yes, it's two things. The meetings were not held regularly.
As quarterly.
Quarterly, yeah. And the one that was held, the minutes wasn't finalized at the time of the audit, yeah.
Okay. The other one about quarterly, we are proposing that the amendment of the act may address that instead of quarterly to be twice in a year. Did you say that?
Yeah.
Are you in the process of amending the act?
No, correct. Yeah, I think that's already in the new name, which is in your office here.
Okay.
But in fast forwarding to 2023, they have been meeting regularly more than usual. In fact,
More than usual.
Yeah, they are even doing emergency meetings as well. Because from December to then, I think they have done almost about 2 or 3 meetings, and
So
one is already
after
scheduled.
2021 query,
Yeah.
they've adjusted themselves and meeting.
Yeah, greatly. Yeah, they did greatly. Yeah.
How about the said minutes? Did you finalize it?
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. Yes, as of now, those minutes are completed and signed, and they are available for verification.
Did you provide it for the auditors to confirm?
We did not, but we can always share that one. But they are already available.
So it was not for them to request. Now there's an audit query.
Yeah.
If you finalize, the best you have done is to audit them to confirm.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's right.
Now that did not happen, you can forward it to the committee.
Okay.
Then the audit will confirm through us.
Okay.
Right?
We'll do that. Yeah.
We give you timeline for that.
In today, it can be available today.
It can be available today.
Yeah,
But
2021.
we have a set date.
Okay.
Can we take that date for submission? Up to 26th. Sorry, 25th.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I think I even have an electronic version of the signed minute, but we can get the physical copy also as well.
Okay, or no before 25th. Any further question, honorable members? There are 2 issues. One, they were not meeting as requested, required by the Act quarterly, but we made understand that has been adjusted, and now they are meeting regularly. The other one was the late finalization of the minutes. The minute according to them finalized and supposed to be presented to the committee for audit confirmation. Any further? That's fine. Okay. But we ask them to submit the said copy of the minute on or before on the 5th. The other observation was on long outstanding check lodgements. Those checks are indicated in the table, and the amount involved is $50,200. And the audit recommended that management should further follow up the bank to ensure 3 funds are credited into the agency's account. Manager response?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The management comments, management wrote to the bank with regards to this payment, but they acknowledge that these were never credited into our account except the 15,200, which has a reference of 004911. This payment was then realized that it was posted twice into our ledger by error and has now been reversed. Manager will now contact the outstanding ones to make the pending into our account. So We were following this with the bank, so bank is not doing that much into our request, but definitely we are pushing this.
When did you start following with the bank?
The query was, yeah, 2023.
Since then, the bank is not meeting your...
No, they're not. But we don't give up. We still ask them.
So you will only ask.
We write as well.
Yeah, you write or ask. Then if they don't do anything, what do you do?
We will refer it to our next stage, which I think is now due to take a legal aspect, but we also have to look at the amount involved as well, how much is going to cost us to...
Since 2023, you have been following with the bank, 24, 25, now in 26.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe you can help us to write on our behalf.
Who? No, we are finding out what the effort that you are making with the bank. Ours is the last resort.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, can we request for one last chance? Maybe we can arrange a meeting with the various bank managing directors, take it to the senior level and see what will come out of that then.
And the outstanding is the one that is in the table still, that is the 50,200.
Minus 15,000, so
Minus
that would,
15.
yeah.
Yeah, Audit, can you confirm that?
Yes, based on the update we have in our 2023 management letter, the 15,200 has been addressed.
Yeah. So minus 15,200. So the outstanding figure will now be, can you calculate that? 40,000. 40? 37,000. Yeah, 37,000. Yes, honorable members, we have 37,000 outstanding. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Actually, it seems there was some issue of reconciliation. Because if they're doing the reconciliation properly, they would have detected that before, even the auditors. They would have detected this issue, that these checks are deposited but it's not in their account. I don't know, maybe because they're always in surplus, they have money, that's why they really did. But I think there's an issue of reconciliation. But if you do it properly, you would have detected this even before the auditors.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, it's not that it's not been picked in our reconciliation. That's why it's long outstanding, because that reconciliation is showing that it's still outstanding.
What I'm saying is, at the end of the month, when you check your bank statements, then you reconcile with against your own, you realize that you've made some deposit, but it's not reflecting on your bank statements. So that's how they can reconcile I'm talking about. So if that was done on time, then you would have detected them earlier than the auditor.
Yeah, I understand. I think we are all talking of the same language. Yeah, I understand. It's been deposited. We agree that, but when the reconciliation is showing that it's in our cash book, but it's not in our bank statement,
yes.
And that's why it's still outstanding. And
yes, that's what I'm saying. If it is not in your, if it is in your cash book, fine. But if it's not in your bank, then you could have consulted with your bank. I said, you know what, we deposited this amount, 25,000, but it's not reflected. What's happening? If it's a return check, they will tell you the check is here. If it is a check that is not honored for various reasons, they will also tell you. Then you could have resolved the issue at the time, then wait until after 12 months or after, a number of months.
Very correct. Yeah. We have not done that at the time.
Yeah. So maybe they need to take note of that.
Yeah, I think we'll improve on that.
Okay. Now, until we finalize our report, if the money is not recovered at your end, it will form part of the recommendation of the committee that the money should be recovered. Yes. So we are targeting June to lay this report. So you will double your effort to make sure it is recovered. Otherwise, at the plenary, you will hear your name and will be on your neck to recover the money. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think we'll engage the various banks and then communicate to the heads so that we can address this issue. And the comment of the Honorable Minister, the Honorable also on the reconciliation, this is something that we're going to be very much working on so that at least we are in line with what needs to be done moving forward. Thank you.
Good. Since that will take a process, I would recommend that for that one, our target is to lay the report in June. By May, we need a feedback before we finalize our report. Is that okay, honorable members? Yeah. Yeah.
If the issue may be at the level of the bank, even if the check is not honored by the bank should have notified them, and then they take another course of action. But if they just keep it there, they don't tell them, that's also another issue. But I think by May should be fine. We give them time until May. This
Go to page 5, and that has to do with absence of CCTV cameras within the agency, and that the audit recommended that management should consider installing CCTV cameras to supplement the existing security personnel in place. Management?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Currently, as of today, the CCTVs are already in operation and they are all working fine. But at the time the management has started procuring the CCTV camera system, this will help to resolve the concern raised by the auditors. So currently at NEA, we have CCTVs everywhere, and they are working fine and being monitored.
When did you install the CCTVs in all the places?
Is 2024? Yeah, 2024, yeah. Yeah, after the audit, 2024, yeah.
Did you confirm that?
No, we are yet to confirm that based on the,
Confirm in the subsequent.
we will do, we'll do so, yeah.
The next one is 7, oh no, page 6. That has to do with absence of justification of fuel issued to senior government officials or council members. We noted that the fuel coupons worth 180,000 and then 15,000 per month were issued to Minister of Environment and the Vice President each. However, management did not provide us with any justification or purpose why these monthly allocations were made. Response?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has now, as at now, this has now been stopped. Based on the recommendation, it has now been stopped. We are not issuing any fuel coupons.
The question is the justification on why you did so, but not, you should not do it. The one that you did, why did you do so?
Maybe I can ask my ED to respond to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, actually, this was a previous management decision, and I will not be able to.
Pardon?
It was a previous management decision in terms of giving some fuel coupons to the Vice President, who was then the chair of the National Environment Management Council, and also the Honorable Minister, considered as the line minister, and also the chairperson of the Environment Admin and Finance Committee. So that was then, but when I took over, I did not see the justification, and I actually stopped it.
when you took over, no such justification was reported
I
to
did
you?
not, yeah, I did not find any record of justification as why, or council decision as to why this is supposed to be given. So at that point, I discontinued the process. It's a management decision that we discontinue the process as well.
According to regulation, are they entitled to that?
I do not see any of such of justification in the regulation as well.
So in the regulation, if there is no justification, then that means there is no justification, whether the person is in office or not. Since through your own regulation, you could not see justification,
Exactly.
then the committee also cannot see justification, right? So that action was unjustified. Okay, that will form part of the committee's report. Any comment on that, honorable members? Hmm? Yeah, stop is one thing, but the action is another. We are trying to discourage everything. So we will bring it to light that this had happened, even though it has stopped. It had happened at that time when it was happening. It was not supposed to happen. So we thank you for taking the advice of the auditors to act accordingly.
Thank you.
Can we proceed 7? Vehicles maintenance contracts. It's also noted the amount involved is 1,811,241, and the audit recommended that management ensure contracts are deployed to specify the responsibilities and the parties. Mechanics also be assessed to ascertain whether they are qualified to undertake such services. Management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The contracts have now been signed with 2 mechanic garages with effect from 1st December 2023, and these mechanics garages were assessed and recommended by the agency's chief driver.
Audit, do you have any further comment?
Yes, as at the time of our 2023 updates, these contracts were not provided for review. And just for the records as well, it's indicated that this was effective from December 2023. But our report was finalized on the 5th of February 2024. So we still have not been provided with the copies for us to verify that these contracts exist.
We have the copies of the contract.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have the copies of the contract. We can provide them.
By 25th.
Yeah.
Page 8, payment of honorarium was also observed, and the amount involved is 636,350, and the audit recommended that management develop a policy that specifies under what conditions honorarium should be paid and the amount. Management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Currently, we have a draft honorarium policy which has already been developed to be submitted to management for validation and approval.
When did you finalize that draft?
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, the draft calendar have been submitted to the National Environment Management Council, and they review it, and they also instructed that they want the Minister of Justice, who is a member of the National Environment, to put certain aspect of legality as to how this is supposed to be. So at that point in time, we are waiting for the, the, the Minister of Justice opinion on that, and before it will be going to be tabulated back again to the council for consideration. So that was done there around December, December 2024.
It was submitted to council in December.
Council in December, not this December, the 2024 December.
Okay.
Yes. So then and in our last meeting in 2025 also it has been raised, which the honorable minister is looking at it in terms of the legality on how those honoraries are supposed to be paid. Yes. So in a sense, hopefully in the next council meeting, which is going to be there about the next quarter, that aspect will be discussed again for finalization. Pardon? Yeah.
Chairman, the so-called draft honorarium policy is under council consideration. That's what the Why do you? The draft honorarium policy is under council consideration. That's the stage it is now. If you don't, so sorry, I mean, like I said, the auditors have flagged something. They didn't find it. They thought this should have existed. It doesn't exist. And since the management have started working on it to put it in place. And at this stage it's under council consideration. Chairman, don't push that any further. But I wanted to maybe seek further guidance, just interested as well. We know honorarium policy may not exist at this stage with NEA, but it does exist as a general allowance within government. And they are paid if staffs are engaged for doing work ordinarily would have been maybe outsourced, and they are taking time outside their usual work time, or require additional time of their time. So can they invoke the general allowance that exists to back this particular practice, or it's not there, so shouldn't have been done?
Yes, all what we needed to see was the basis why we have to pay. If the NEA adopts what the central government has, it's just a matter of documenting that we are adopting what government has. But at the time of the review, they couldn't present to us that this is why we need to pay and these are why we need to pay these amounts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has now been taken into consideration. Currently, the agency is undergoing the 2024 financial year budget preparation for the submission to the Management and the Admin and Finance Committee for approval. Also, in 2024, the monthly and quarterly management accounts report will be prepared for Management, Admin, and Finance Committee. These reports will include monthly and quarterly variance analysis. So currently with those, currently as we are talking now, we every year from 2024 to now, we do prepare our annual financial budget, and we also do a management report. Which, of course, when we are transitioning to the accounting solution, those later part of the year, we couldn't do the management account for I think September and December 1, because we are transitioning from manual to accounting solution, Sage accounting solution.
Mr. Chair, we haven't reviewed 2024 yet, so we cannot provide an update on the status. Okay. 2024 has not been audited yet.
Yes, just to confirm whether they have submitted the budget, because that was a requirement. When you submit this document, you also need to submit the budget. So I'm not sure if they've submitted that.
The financial budget, I think the activity budget has been submitted, but the financial budget that's not included. Okay, you will. We will provide that. Thank you.
We'll provide it. The budget. They'll provide the budget.
The next issue is whistleblowing process, which the audit observed and noted that management should develop whistleblowing policy and procedures for reporting improper business practices. This process will ensure protection of identity of reporting officers and guarantees reprisal. Management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The agency has tasked the Director of Admin and Finance and the HR Manager to work on the whistleblowing policy and for submission to the management for consideration.
Yes, after taxing.
Yeah, that's myself and the HR Manager. And we've not done the whistleblowing yet because there were lots of policies which we were asked the tax to prepare, and I think we've prepared almost about 10 policies, so it's one of those on the pipeline to be completed.
But this was since 2021. The response was when?
The response was it last year? 2023 or something?
No, early 2024.
Yeah, 2024, yeah.
Early 2024.
Yeah.
So you had the whole of 2024, 2025. And you tax yourself to do that since for 2 years now.
As I said, there are almost about 10 or 11 policies written, and all those policies I was the one leading, and the team was helping.
But this is specifically queried by the auditors,
All those were queries by the auditors as well.
despite 2 years.
All those policies.
I understand now.
Yeah.
So when the audit,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we are doing our effort, and we hope so before 2024 we will be able to complete it. Yeah, we can give a specific consideration to this specific one then. No, but whistleblowing is also included in one of the policies. I cannot remember which one, where we put the email address there and a telephone number to be called for whistleblowing. So, but there is no specific policy for whistleblowing. But one of those policies we prepared, yeah, there's a section for whistleblowing, which you can use that, where you have the email address, and I think also there's a telephone number there, but there's no specific policy for whistleblowing alone.
that's what the audits want.
Yeah, we will work
They
on it.
want you to develop a specific policy. And 2 years you have not started yet. It's not the workload. I think it's your maybe. If you have started, I will say work in progress. But of now you have not started, it's not part of your priority.
No, as I said, there's a section already in one of the policies.
We are not saying that one.
Yeah.
People say specific, they want specific one, and you concur.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with you. Then we'll start working on it. We'll give it as a priority.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, you see, when audits query, don't wait for the assembly. Act immediately. Before
Okay.
going to assembly.
Yeah, we will comply to that.
We want to change that. I think what institution used to do, wait for the assembly. No, that has to change, and that has changed, not to change. It has changed. If you treat your audit query, that is your ML, the action points, act on them before the assembly. By next committee sitting on your report, it will not be business as usual. Huh?
Thanks.
Thank you. So this one, you said you are yet to work on it. And then you work on it, the audit, in your subsequent report, make sure you put specific attention to this one, right? Honorable members, any comment? We go to page 11 and 11 or 12 rather. Oh, okay. 11. Absence of risk management framework is noted by the auditors and recommended that the management develop a formal process of managing risks. Response?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The agency has tasked the Admin and Finance, Director of Admin and Finance, and Senior Internal Auditor to work on the risk management framework for submission to the management for consideration. Currently, we have completed a draft, which is submitted for management consideration and validation.
You prepared a draft.
Yes.
Is it validated? Not yet?
It's going through a validation, because going to the management for the management is subject to the whole senior management staff validation. Maybe ED can comment more on that.
Thank you very much. Actually, the risk management has been reviewed and also submitted to the Admin and Finance Committee. And in our next meeting, they are reviewing it, and our next meeting, hopefully, it will be considered from that point. But in our last meeting of December, it was submitted to them, and they needed more time to look at it. So our next quarter meeting has
The quarter meeting of which committee?
Admin and Finance Committee. So they have almost 4 other policies that we have presented to them in December, which they are reviewing right now, including the risk management.
So when table next meeting, hopefully
The next around March.
around March.
Yes.
They may conclude on it,
Yes.
hopefully.
Yes.
Hmm?
Yes. After there are any is operation is like, for example, when the first policies, when they are completed, they are taken to Admin and Finance Committee, and after when they endorse it, then we take it to another level, which is the National Environment Management Council for the final review, and so the process actually takes a little bit longer. But already it is tabled at the Admin and Finance Committee, and then from there, when they have already considered it, then we take it to the other level for the council's consideration. So hopefully when it is concluded in March by the Admin and Finance Committee, then it will be taken to the council in the next council meeting, which will be in April.
Okay. After the admin and council meetings, you give us update on the outcome of those meetings, okay?
I think for the purpose of this particular aspect, this is a framework, a guideline. It's going to be not necessarily be a policy. So I was just asking the ED if this will require to go to council for decision. But if it is at the stage we recognize now is at the committee level. When they finish the committee, then they're subject to management for consideration. And when management adopts it, then it becomes like their guidelines. So I don't think guideline and policy, I don't know what the auditors would recognize, if it is sufficient as a guideline or it has to be a policy.
Thank you very much. Maybe it's the language we are using. When we mean framework, it goes beyond the layman's definition as far as we are concerned, because the board and the council has a role to play when it comes to risk management. So it is critical that they are part of the process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We get the update of the said meetings. Next, page 12, that is on environment impact assessment approvals, with the audit noted, and then under recommended that the management and so procedures are being followed as per NEMA Act 94 in relation to the approval of developers. Management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will read the management comments and I will also allow ED to elaborate more on it if he needs to. Except the Gazette of Approval projects, all other procedures are being followed in accordance with the NEMA Act 1994 and the EIA, the Environment Impact Assessment Regulation 2014, including the public disclosures.
Thank you so much, Chair. Yes, the issue of gazetting also goes beyond, because usually we normally also submit this document to Minister of Justice, and they also have another process. Currently, even we are working on it. We've submitted most of it. It takes a period for them to follow. Even another follow-ups have been made, but that is another aspect. But when you look at our law, the other aspect of disclosure is always captured in our law, that you have to show this thing to the public so that people are aware what we call public hearing, which we normally also do as at now to involve the people to know what is happening. And we put those facilities or this document in different public forum, even at the libraries and so forth, even our documentation center, for people to come and see what is happening. But that is in line with what is provided in the law. But the issue of gazetting also go beyond it has to go to another level, which we also normally do. Submit it to the Minister of Justice, and they do the gazetting process.
Audit?
Yeah, we don't have any further comments on this. Is the fact that maybe in terms of the other areas, you need to, because we request that they maintain files for each of these projects. And once we requested for the files, we went through the files to look out for the documentation, but they are not provided. So we went back to the individual responsible. But at the time of the finalization, there's additional evidence requiring publication of in the newspapers were not provided at the time of finalization.
Well, are they available?
Need to audit further guidance on this. For the fact that if you go by the NEMA requirements, there's an existing practice that these audits are subject to public review and public comments and public to have access to it, and that they are doing. Now, if they now insisting or recommending that another step be taken for a legal gazettes, what that means is that this project would now be submitted every time to the Ministry of Justice for formal gazetting as well. So I'm not sure which of the act or the practice will satisfy them, and what should the and guide further the ED, so that at least we have a closer on this. Are they looking for a legal gazette, or are they looking or can they confirm the current practice, whether that will be sufficient for this purpose?
Okay. Audit?
Yeah, if I can recall well, the requirement for gazetting is in the law. So it's a matter of compliance. If the NEA thinks this is not the route to take, I think they have an opportunity in the revised act to deal with that. But we're looking at the compliance aspect here.
NEA?
Again, I think the understanding and interpretation of NEA at the level of the NEA was that the current practice was sufficient as a public notice, as a gazette. But if the choice of the word gazette, maybe we'll agree with them that maybe it's inferring a legal notice, a legal gazette. So we can comply, but the current practice would have sufficient for this really. But again, maybe we will look at this in the current amendment to see whether we really need to go that far.
Yeah, actually, honorable members, we still have
Yes.
and
That's right. Chair, I think if you look at the query, I think it's just a matter of proving that this has been done. For example, if you send it to the radio or if you publish it in the newspapers, just have a clipping of the newspaper and put it in a particular file. And I think that would suffice the auditors. I think what they need is just a proof. Now, if you guess it also, there's a form that you send, like when we do bills. Yeah, exactly. Get notice exactly. Just put it in that particular file. When they review it, okay, this is done, this is done. I think that's the issue. Yeah. Thank you.
We all know that when you gazette, you send it to the printing office, and that's where they keep all documents that are gazetted. So it can be easily, verified. They just need to. I think audit office also needs to just check with the Gambia printing to check whether it's been done, because all gazetted items are supposed to be with them.
These people, they deal with hundreds and hundreds of projects. Would you still need to subject them to a legal gazette notice where documents are printed, legal notices are issued, and then stayed for a period before they become effective? It's unlike, for example, where policy or change in the rules or regulations will require those such gazettes. These are smaller documents, and it's a matter of rule change or policy changes that you will gazette. But this project now, if you go by what is exactly required, that means every other project, big or small, must be gazetted through the process established.
As long as that's what is entailed in the act, yeah, you cannot do without that. And as alluded, it's just confirmation of the publications. That's what you need to confirm.
Otherwise, if the act is not followed, then it means that any contract that is entered can be nullified or challenged in court.
So we proceed. Honorable members, I think, honorable members, we have to, what they are calling. Yeah. You want to?
Say this, then I can go and join them and come back later. You know, previously, on the previous audit, that is the one dealing with January 1st, 2018 to 2020, there was an issue that was flagged by the auditor. That's the procurement and control issues. That's the delivery note here. No, I said on previous audit, not this one here. Because I was going to bring it, but somebody's waiting for me. Now, during the investigation, it was highlighted that there were some procurement that was done, but the deliveries were never made from the previous finance director. And they amounted to 5,284,902. And the police were engaged to investigate. And when the police investigated, they in fact discovered that instead it's about $11 million. So we wanted to get an update on that particular issue, because this $11 million that is owned by NEA, and we need to know whether, I know we received some communication where the person was trying to make a payment. So if you can give us an update on that, whether the payment was made or it's not made, or whether it's taken to court, we just want to get an update on that.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think that was right. Actually, we don't know the figure per se, because the report did not come to the National Environment Agency. But we are aware that the matter has been taken to court, and there was a time when the first the court have mentioned the case, but since then there was even a certain decision that AFC is supposed to do, but we even wrote to the Minister of Justice to give us an update, because we want to take a decision on that Director of Finance then on a particular issue. But now they came to that, hence this is already in the court. We cannot do any, they cannot do any further on it. But that communication we can actually share with you. But right now the thing is at court, and then we don't have much say on that one. But as of now, the amount now is actually what they did not actually pass that report to us. They take it to justice, and now the thing has been taken to court.
Okay, but that's fine. So I think what we can do is maybe we can get the update from the Minister of Justice, because what you guys were claiming was about 5.2 million, but the investigators actually saw it in fact is 11 million. So, and this money belongs to you people. So we'll take note of that. So for the Minister of Justice to give us an update on this particular case. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Because we did not get the policy.
Oh, okay. So you don't have anything? Okay.
Because the thing is, the police, when this thing was mentioned to them, after when they said they are not answerable,
yes, I know.
They don't have anything to do with us.
That's fine.
So apparently, whatever they have submitted, we are not aware of what is happening.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, let's take note to get the report of the investigation, so that we can know, because it's just on the 2 sentences they tell us. Instead of 5.2, now it's 11 million.
Okay.
So you can get a detailed information, maybe something that you really need to know also as well. So let's take note of that, and then we'll get that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the auditors?
Yeah, we try to get additional information on the status, but we came to a dead end as well. So
When was the last time you requested
This was during the 2023 audit. Yeah. We saw some correspondence between Ministry of Justice and NEA, but they were actually on advisory level, but not specifically on the issues.
So what is the recommendation? What would you recommend going forward? Because we are waiting for an update on the report. So what would you recommend going?
What we can do for the time being, if you look at the accounts for 2023, there is a disclosure disclosing the case. Well, the number we have there is even 2 point something million. Now we are getting an update that is 11 million. So we can highlight it in the report in 2024 because it is a potential asset, a contingent asset, if I may describe it as such. So once we get the updates, finance director ensure we have it in the 2024 accounts. Thank you.
So we need a full disclosure because we've just been informed that the amount involved is way higher than was actually reported. So like, I think, honorable members, we expect the report, full disclosure. We will give you until the 25th. 25th. Yes, 25th of February. Meanwhile, write to the Ministry of Justice we will write to the Ministry of Justice for total disclosure. And when you appear again, we expect that these things will be sorted. But meanwhile, our clerk will write to the Ministry of Justice because it is a great cause for concern, especially after it's been realized that the amount involved is much higher than was actually disclosed. So we move forward. Thank you.
Chair, I think now, sorry, maybe to bring you back. As far as the agency is concerned, right now we cannot really say what is the actual amount. So, and then the communication we made to the Minister of Justice, what they gave was more of an advisory note of the situation. So I think maybe this committee can help us so that we are also now, we really don't know what the magnitude of the whole thing is all about. So maybe this committee can help us. So when we get that information, that can be able to be reflected in our, on that basis, can be able to reflect on in our accounts. But right now, we have no idea what is happening because the thing is beyond us.
Okay, thank you. Like we said, we will request the information from the Ministry of Justice, and when we convene the next time, we probably have the full picture. Thank you. We go to page 14, impress management, and the recommendations that management should ensure the outstanding impresses are retired as soon as possible or recovered.
Honorable Chair, you need to understand it's page 14.
To page 13.
Page 13, yes.
Misclassification and inadequate description of transactions. The recommendations were that management should accelerate the procurement of an accounting software transactions. Transactions posted should be adequately described and thorough by senior financial staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Already there have been few internal on-the-job training regarding code classifications and provisions of adequate transactions descriptions. The agency has already started the process of procuring the accounting software for the finance and procurement units. These will hopefully eliminate or minimize the coding issues and inadequate transaction description. So currently at NEA now, we are using the Sage accounting software. We now move from the manual system and has gradually and has reduce these miscoding issues drastically.
Audit?
Yeah, this has been a concern to us, and we do spend a lot of time going back and forth on this. But as he mentioned, we hopeful that once the accounting software is operationalized, most of these issues would be a thing of the past. Improvements have been noted, but ultimately, we're hoping that the software would address most of these challenges.
Any other comments from members? So since you've noted that improvements have been noted, we do not expect to see it repeating itself going forward. So I think we can proceed. Page 14, impress management. The recommendation was that management should ensure the outstanding impresses are retired as soon as possible or recovered from respective staff salaries. Management respond, please. What is being done up so far?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Some of the impress are now being retired and follow-ups have been made on the staff concerned to submit their retirement, as this is now long overdue. In the agency's draft financial manual, there is a section relating to impress retirement within a maximum of 2 weeks, after which necessary action will be taken.
Thank you. Audit?
Yeah, based on the update we have as at end of 2023, we still have some impress that are still outstanding.
Are being fully recovered.
We now agree that by the direction, or if you want to say direction given by the ED, that we engage the staff once more, and otherwise we have to deduct it from their salary without any further delay.
Audit?
Yeah, so based on the report as at 2023, out of that list, we still have 108,000 outstanding. So I'm not sure what is the update in 2024 and 2025, but as at end of 2023, we had 108,269 outstanding.
So it means that 108,000, it means that less than 20,000 have been collected, and that is a great cause for concern. And are these staff still working in the agency? If so, I think we should start deducting it, and it should be recovered in the shortest time possible. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. All these staff mentioned are still working in the agency. I think 1 or 2 of them study leave. But as I said, we will start deducting. Before deducting from their side, we're going to talk to them and see if they can pay one-off. Otherwise, we can go into arrangement with them to be deducted from their salaries.
Thank you. Audit, let's take note that in the next audit, at least these outstanding balances should be cleared, especially if all of them are still working under the agency because they are being paid salary. Members?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The only thing I can say about this thing is about, this is almost about like 3-4 years ago. So basically, I think when impress are given, they should be retired. So, some of these things, I think you should take note of this. For you to come here after 3-4 years with this amount and it's not paid, I think it doesn't tell well. So what is important, hence the staff that are working there, engage them and ensure that let them pay it. Even though you are going to do it internal arrangement, but let them just clear it, because such things to appear in your audit report, it doesn't tell well.
So that is just what I have to, advise you, please. Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree with the member that we should make efforts to recover the funds, particularly if as he have admitted, if the staffs are still there and working. There are instances where maybe a demise staff or other circumstances might have presented difficulty in recovering some of these things. But if we go by the finance director admission that the staff are still active and they are working, then they should be engaged to pay up this, or we will start the deduction, because 4 years is a bit too long. We will also take note and report to council.
And a concern, because for impress, you shouldn't be given another impress until the previous one is retired. Are they still being given any form of impress? Can management just confirm that, just so that we can take notes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And before I come to, maybe I want to say one or two things about what some of these things the staffs are still working with us, and some of them are claiming that they've retired is something to do with documentation, misplacement of the documents. So I think that's the main reason, because they believe completely, they believe that they have retired this, but it's the documentation which we cannot find. That's the issue. And if staff believe that they retired it and we cannot find it in our record in finance, making them to pay is also another issue. So that's the reason why this is taking that long. Understand? So, but we have now told them that the proof is on them. They have to show proof that they have retired it. Otherwise, we will continue to deduct it from the. We will resort to deduct it from their salary. And to come to your question, yes, we give them impress, but currently we have a system which, when you at the, I think is it a week or so after your whatever you do, you have to retire, and our staffs are very keen to follow it up now. They follow it up. We have learned from the
It means
audit.
that now you have a good system in monitoring, and but going forward, please,
Yeah.
they should still either show evidence that they have retired, or, because the burden is on them to prove that they have retired, these impresses. Otherwise, they are still financially liable. But we should also applaud the agency that they have a very good system of impress in management and control now. Thank you. That takes us to the end of 2021. So if members have any other contribution, if not, we proceed to okay, audit office has an.
Honorable Chair, it's also important to go through the prior issues to see the implementation level.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
can I suggest that when we are at 2023 ML, then at that point we can go through the prior year thing, because otherwise we'll be repeating what's in 2021, what's in 2020, and we're going to repeat it when we get to 2023. I'm just a suggestion.
I think we will agree with your suggestion to proceed to 2022. And then once we finish everything, we'll go to prior issues raised. Otherwise, it will just be a repetition. Thank you. So we proceed to 2022. So it's on page 2. Right. Inadequate receivables, provision policy, and aging report. Recommendations. Management should review the policy and include age brackets with provisioning percentages for each bracket for general provision purposes. Furthermore, the policy should provide guidance on writing of debts and credit period. Management should also ensure the aging report is regularly monitored and outstanding balances kept to bare minimum. Management respond, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Management will review the existing provision based on these recommendations. Additionally, it will be ensured that the aging report will be regularly monitored and kept balances to a minimum level. This is the rest is almost the same as what happened in 2021 because we responded to this ML almost at the same time.
Yes, this would be an additional advice to our recommendation. But the finance manual was developed internally, and it is important that you have a validation, no matter how small it is, because once you do that, you invite experts to come and critique the document you have developed. If there are any shortcomings in it, they will be able to point it out, rather than passing through management. And once it's adopted, you realize that 1 or 2 areas should have been spent in. So, because if this was reviewed at that level, people would have seen that when standardizing your provisioning policy, there has to be brackets in it to say if something is outstanding between 0 to 30 days, provisioning purposes, this is the percentage we apply. So this is a general advice in terms of policy development or any manuals or guidelines. Thank you.
Chair.
Thank.
Oh, okay. Chair, I think usually the admin and finance committee is actually a technical committee. Your advice is very much well noted. The admin and finance committee also, that's why we gave them this report so that they can look at it. From there, when everything's considered okay at that level, then we take it to the National Environment Management Council. And from their perspective, even though they have a lot of other comments which we are incorporated, from their perspective, it's fine, ideal. But this is a very good point, and that's how we also took it to the admin and the National Environment Management Council, which also endorsed this manual. So, but your consideration is something that we can look into and see how we can act on those aspects as well. But it has gone through the process that we felt is actually robust enough for this aspect of the development. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that has been addressed since it also observed that the policy does not provide clear guidance on the provisioning of receivables, aging of receivables, and is not consistent with best practice. So I think we should take note of the auditor's advice, and going forward, we do not expect to see this in the reports going forward. Members, we proceed? Audit, can we proceed? Thank you. Page 3, observation number 2, non-gazetting of some projects categorized as Class A. The agency should ensure that all projects categorized as Class A projects are gazetted. Again, I think this is an this is a recurrent, so we can just take note of what was previously said and proceed. So we go to observation 4, ex-staff loans not recovered. Also, that is also another matter that is recorded, so we should just take note. Page 6, payment vouchers without recipient signature. Is that a recurring matter?
Madam Chair, the point number 3 is the recurring issue, which is the long outstanding interest of 108,000. The ex-staff loans is a new point. We did not report it in 2021.
Oh, the ex-staff loans is
a new point that is
it's a new, okay. The ex-staff, so page 5. Okay, so it is recommended that these balances should be recovered from the former staff mentioned above. Management should ensure adequate measures are taken at the time of staff departure to ensure any balances due to agency are recovered. What is the management response?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For Mr. Denton, for Mr. Mohammed Denton, communication has been received from Social Security that the liabilities to the agency will be deducted from his benefits, which is still pending. Mr. Job's liability have been written off as his suspension is never concluded and cannot come back to work. For all other staff, they did not go through the formal resignation processes of the agency, which is to give 1 month notice or pay 1 month salary in lieu of notice, as they just stopped working uninformed. However, the agency has written to them regarding the matter, but they never turn up to pay their loan balances.
Audit?
We are yet to get an update on this, on the status of these balances. It is something we will have to look at when we're doing our 2024 review.
Okay, this was since 2022. Are you still chasing them on these matters, or have some of them been recovered?
Yeah, I think for 2 aspects, Mr. Denton and Mr. Joe, they are involved in this issue of that financial aspect, which is still at the court level. Mr. Denton and Mr. Joe, that those 2 people, the cases related to, they are the one that have that financial issues. The police case that is now within at the court level. And for the others, what we realize, some of them also this bagway thing, some of them also left. It is actually difficult for us even to trace where they are. Other communication have been made to them, and it is actually difficult, but we're still going to make the necessary follow. But those with the bagway, it's going to be difficult. And some of them left without following any due process.
Do they have any benefits due to be paid to them?
Well, as of now, if they claim for it, the benefit will be there, but they have to start the claim. But right, somebody who left, because then, the Social Security will send us, somebody has requested this, can you verify? The moment we get that kind of information, then that is time we can now release certain things with respect to that staff. But if that is not communicated to us, it becomes very difficult for and that's what happened to Mr. Denting, and then we have to communicate that this is the situation, and said whenever they compute what's supposed to be given to him, whatever liability he has will be taken off.
Okay, so do we take note that eventually these liabilities will be taken off from the benefit that is expected?
Yes.
From.
Okay, so.
Maybe a qualifier. Except for the deposits that is available at the Social Security, and for which if Social Security, if a claim comes up and Social Security asks for verification, agency will make efforts to deduct it from there. Other than that, at the level of the agency, there is no outstanding benefits to them, and they have left unceremoniously and not traceable. So, but then the audit interest would be that in any case, let the agency make effort. If you cannot recover, then there's another option, and that is the the how do you call it, to how do you call it, to go through council for write-off. If you make a case that maybe this is not recoverable, then we can go through a process of write-off. Yeah.
I think that's a good suggestion, but if we keep recommending that, we will eventually be writing off everybody's debt at the cost of at the expense of the nation, and that can only encourage corruption. So what we will recommend is to follow it up to into the last whatever we can do, and see how we can trace them, because Gambia is very small and everybody knows everybody. So there is no way that we can say that we do not know people that know their whereabouts, because I think 80% of the population know each other in this country. If we don't know you, we would know somebody that knows you or your family. So I think writing it off would be the very last option that we would want. Otherwise, everybody would opt for writing off their debt, so they would be living on taxpayers' monies. So let's task the agency to follow up and see what they can do and report back to us. So we wouldn't expect to see this again, and also to make sure that staff that leave unceremoniously are followed as earliest as possible before they can be untraceable. Thank you. So we close audit. Is there anything else you want?
Just a comment on that. You're right that the writing of, even though from an accounting perspective, we'll have to get to that. But as a minimum, we would at some point recommend for a provisioning, 100% provisioning. So even though we can still keep these numbers in the books, but there would be another entry that would actually automatically cancel them out, because the recoverability as time goes on becomes very unlikely. So from an accounting perspective, we'll get to that. Thank you.
The more delinquency you have in your books, the more disreputable the agency would be. So I think they should also try to minimize that risk as well.
That's the point. We are saying the longer this stays on the book, it's not going to look nice for the agency. And we said if those amounts are then established that we cannot recover them, then the auditor would not sit there and not recommend anything. They would have to recommend that another process be followed to clean the books. And that one option would be write-off. I'm not entertaining write-off, but where it is becoming impossible to recover, then probably the only possibility is to go through the process and clear the books.
I want to find out, do they have any guarantor?
Employees. These
Ah,
are ex-employees.
sometimes maybe somebody guarantee them at work. Or that don't happen. Okay.
Because even, I mean, for loans, people seem to guarantee each other. I think you should also consider that as well. Even if they work there, I mean, we should encourage that people who work together can guarantee each other, because the money that they are being given also is money from taxpayers. Because even at the National Assembly, when we give loans, you need to get a guarantor. So I think that is also part of risk management. So going forward, I think audit, you should also recommend that as well. We proceed.
Yeah.
Page 6, observation number 5, payment vouchers without recipient signature. Is that a recording? I think that's a recording. It's new. The recommendation was that management should ensure payment vouchers are signed by the preparer and recipient as provided for in the payment vouchers. Management?
Thank you, Madam Chair. These were oversights on the side of either the recipient or the account officer issuing the payment. Receipts and signatures of the recipients are attached to the voucher. Also, with the intervention of internal audit unit, such occurrence will be very minimal going forward.
audit?
We'll have to see in 2024 whether this has been addressed.
So we'll just wait for the report of 2024. Hopefully it will not continue recording, because this is just maladministration, I will call it, and the agency will not want to continue doing the same practices that are not, I mean, good enough.
Yeah, I think also, Madam Chair, we also want to, at that time also, we never also have an internal auditor. So there are certain things that are now, that were happening before, it never even going to take place now, because you have an internal audit office that is internal control that look into all these aspects, which also give reports on the performance of all the programs, the respect of everything periodically. So that they also give internal reports with respect of either finances, other programs work for management's consideration. So all these things are now taken care of.
So it means that, so now you have the internal audit. Since when?
Yeah.
Since 2023. Okay. So we don't expect to see it anymore. Okay, thank you. Okay. Observation number 6. The recommendations were that management should pursue the above reconciling items with the bank and ensure they are cleared up as soon as possible. Reconciling items identified during the reconciliation process should be addressed immediately to avoid long outstanding items.
Yeah. Thanks, Madam Chair. Deposit in cash book, not in bank statement. We start with that first. Except for the 288,500, this arises when our customers make payment to the bank and official receipts were issued based on the bank receipt presented by them. But these were never credited into our account. It has been resolved by verifying. Now, what we are doing is being resolved by verifying from the bank any payment before issuing the official receipt and recorded it in our book. Technically, what we are saying, you go and do the lodgement at the bank will give you a receipt. If you come with that receipt to us, we use that receipt and record it in our cash book. But at the end, this has never been credited to our account, but already we have, because we have seen the evidence of the receipt that we entered in our cash book. So as for the 288,500, this was recorded twice in our cash book and has been subsequently reversed in the 2024 account. That was a double entry we made, and we have now done the revision. We reverse it, and the effect is in the 2024 account. The 10,000 withdrawal by Mamaduba was an error by the bank, but was never reversed. Communication has been sent to the bank for that effect, because that was banks has taken money from our account, but we have contacted them about that already. So lodgement in the statement, not in the cash book. The payment which have been paid into our bank account, but we have not recorded in our cash book. These are payments made by customers directly into our bank account without notifying the office, and it is challenging to identify the payee and to classify this payment to their respective revenue lines. Management has engaged the enforcement team to emphasize the issue of collecting official receipts from the agency after paying into the bank. Because what normal happens, like any year, sometimes we do enforcement, like these are plastic ban enforcement. So when they go and do that, they will ask you to go and pay at the bank. You go and pay the money at the bank. So when you pay there, you don't bother. Maybe for some reason you don't come and give us the receipt I have paid. So those are the kind of payment made into our bank account. We don't know who. And some of them, if we do contact, because bank will put, sometimes they put the telephone number there. That telephone numbers are not working. And it's difficult for bank to give us further information on that. That's why you have some money paid into our account, but it's not recorded in our cash book. That's the thing.
Audit?
Yeah, in addition to our recommendation, I think is coming back to the reconciliation process and the timeliness of it. Once the month ends, typical example, if you set a deadline of 2 weeks to do your reconciliation, any reconciling items that comes there and then you can, but the longer it takes, it becomes difficult for the bank to go back again. So set that timelines internally, and also with these digital platforms or this email notification, once you get it, you can find out easily who these deposits relate to, and continue to work with your enforcement team so they give you adequate information as to what this relates to.
That's right.
At some point, you may have to take a position on this. You cannot leave them hanging forever. Management has to take a decision and say, we don't know who they relate to. They are there for 3 years. We have to take them and put them in this particular account, but not hanging as reconciling items for.
Yeah.
And also, if the management has a proper invoicing system, they can be properly described, so that once you make the payment from that description, you can be able to identify, and that can also reduce this problem. So I think it's a lack of proper reconciliation, like audit have described, and also the lack of proper monitoring, because now we have internet banking, we have instant alerts. Even if it takes time to be captured or to send alerts, you can still look into your internet banking to reconcile, if not daily, let's say weekly, so that you can avoid this loss. But going forward, we don't expect it, especially in this day and age with electronic banking, where you can be checking your bank balances every day, and also to enhance your invoicing method so that the description can be properly identified with and linked to payments. Audit, anything else? Or management, you have anything else to
No further
contribute to?
comments.
For us, yeah, there we have a proper invoicing system. So as I said, it's not something to do with the invoice. It's the people going in there and deposit money in our account. I think what we're going to do is timely reconciliation as suggested, and also if you see payment in our bank statement, because we do review our bank statement, not all of them, but some of them we have access to our bank statement online on some of the accounts, not all of them. So once we see that, I think we need to follow it up to ensure that, to follow up, to find out what that payment is relating to. Yeah. So I think we will definitely improve on the timeliness of our reconciliation.
Audit? Members, you have any contribution on that? Thank you. We can proceed to page 10. Staff on study leave. Is that a new matter or is new? Okay. The recommendations were that management should discontinue the payment of allowances to staff on study leave, as they are entitled to a basic salary only. What is management?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is the practice of the agency that staff on study leave are paid basic plus residential and professional allowance, and all other allowances are stock, which include transport mobile allowances. So agency has a policy that when staff are on study leave, we pay them their basic salary plus the residential and professional allowances. All other allowances are stopped.
Audit?
Our understanding was once a staff is on study leave, then all other allowances should be discontinued. That's just our understanding of what should obtain.
Policy, because policy should also be adhered to. Did you check with the policy to confirm whether that was actually policy or it was just practice?
Okay.
I think this is basically having a practice thing. And I think if it is against the 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 regulation, I think you have to look into that one and then at heart or what is the regulation. I think that will help because yes, some of the staff, even they are on short leave, they are involved in some, they are staying around. But at least if at all the regulations say something that we need to do, we have to look into that one.
I think what is mixed in the salary is basics and allowances. And then within the allowances, you have the statutory allowances and the non-statutory allowances. To the extent that if we say only basics should be paid to staff on study leave, then that would also affect the statutory allowance, which would also have a corresponding deductions for their pension benefits. So, but again, we stand guided. It has to be properly defined in the service rules or somewhere in policy that staff on study leave, what are they entitled to? The auditor position is very clear. In their judgment or determination, only basic salary should be paid. But interrogate that further with respect to the allowances. There are aspects of the allowance that are statutory and that have corresponding deduction for their pension, long-term benefits. So that need to be further looked at.
I think since we are not lawyers here or interpreters of the policy, that is very difficult for us. But we are just assuming that if you are not at work, it also affects your benefit because time of work is time of work. So it can also affect what you pay based on your pensions. But we would expect that the agency follows the guidance of and the laws of this country based on salaries. If you are on study leave, whatever the rules, the law says that you should be paid, we expect that to be paid. I am not aware, I don't know of the law of how these things are done, so we cannot determine that, but we will confirm and make sure that during the next audit, they are only paid what they are legally due to receive and nothing more or nothing less.
And if I may come in also, I will also table this thing to the Admin and Finance Committee for their guidance on what is the entitlement of staff when they are on study leave. That will also help because you have the management office there and many other institutions that are involved in staff matters. They'll be able to report to guide the process.
Audit, no comment. Members? Thank you. So we proceed. Page 12. Observation number 8. Deficiencies in the management of fixed assets and works. The recommendations were that fixed asset verification. A verification exercise covers all assets and the agency should be conducted, the assets of the agency should be conducted at least annually and the assets verified should be reconciled to the general ledger.
There are orders in there. Oh.
The fixed assets register. The assets with incomplete data in the register should be updated. Each asset should be assigned a separate code and a custodian. The completion certificate. Management should obtain the certificate of completion as stated in the contract before payment of the final invoice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Management will ensure that the fixed asset verification is done annually and reconciled to the general ledger. The fixed asset register will be updated with the relevant information as recorded. We'll also ensure that the certificate completion for contract is submitted before final payment. So currently what we are having is We have these Sage accounting solutions, and we don't, which has a capacity and capability of all the information required. Because before, these figure sets are kept manually. It's in the Excel, so the locations and everything were not included. But I think what's in there is the fixer set and the department or the unit they are. But the holder or who it is for is not there. But with the Sage Accounting Solution has those capabilities, and we're going to update all those information in our accounting solution.
Yeah. Audit?
I concur with the approach. It's just that maybe you would want to precede it with the verification exercise to avoid just taking the data you have and putting it in the Sage software just to realize that there might be errors in that data. Do a verification, do your reconciliation, then what you can confirm, move that. Then the reconciling issues, you can address that within management.
Noted, thank you.
Thank you.
Can we continue page 14? Inadequate documentation of overseas travel is observed by the auditors. The years involved 22 and 23, and the audit recommended that management ensure all future procurement of air tickets follows established procurement procedures, including obtaining and documenting evidence of competitive bidding to promote transparency, fairness, and value for money. And management response?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Management faces a lot of challenges when it comes to procurement of air tickets due to the fluctuation of prices and short notice of travel dates. However, we are trying to improve on this situation by planning better and employing more robust procurement tools, such as requesting for quotation through emails. Going forward, boarding passes will be retired by traveling officers and attached to the supporting document. Because currently it's not a requirement at any year to ask travelers after they are traveling to come and submit their boarding passes. So if that's a recommendation, then we'll put that into consideration going forward.
Audit, any further comment?
No further comments on our recommendation.
So that means the issue can be confirmed in the next report. Precisely 2024? 24?
Yes, we'll confirm whether that has been implemented in 2024 audit.
Before they confirm, after the audit exercise, did you act on that? Can you give us update on any development on that?
Yeah, as I said, was not because these management letters are things we just completed, not under 6 months ago, was 1 year or something like that. So we've not acted on it, but I said if it's a recommendation, now it's a recommendation, will be requiring people know it means the boarding pass. Yeah, so we will be.
This query was made, is it 2024?
Yes, so the draft was shared in 2024. Yeah. So
And a management response?
it came last week.
Last week, yeah.
Wow, last week? Huh?
Yes.
The draft May 2024?
No, what really happened was the financial statement, if you look at it, this was signed around 26 March 2024. So for some reason, that's why we said it's an oversight on us. We never realized that the management letter was never responded to until when we asked. We asked the auditor that confirmed that no, this has never been responded to. And that was the reason why was it last week, then we responded to it. It was really an oversight on our side.
The entire ML or?
The entire ML for this year was never responded to. It was an oversight on our side. But if you look at the financial statement, was signed, I think, in March 2026, 2024. I think 26 March 2024, the financial statement was signed. So we never responded to the ML. It was assumed that it was responded until when we needed a printed copies to send it to, I think we received a letter requesting for this meeting, then we realized that everything in order. Understand? So we realized that the ML was never been responded to, and we find out that was the case, then we started responding to it.
Executive Director, you want to comment?
Yeah, just what I wanted to say, to say that as it's mentioned, it's something that this kind of serious thing, lapse is something that I take very seriously, and then we don't expect anything of that to happen further. And it is really difficult at that point because what happened, almost all the printed financial copies were in my office. And then that's supposed to be, but then I realized that the ML is supposed to be part of the thing. And I contacted to say that where the ML, then I realized that this was not. So anyway, well, it's a serious lapse that we take note of, and then it is not going to happen any further for such kind of thing. On the issue of the tickets, usually the agencies getting usually travels are funded outside. But what I also wanted to get, you realize that there's value for money. When you ask a ticket to be paid, and you mention the agency's name, what is costing you 50,000 or 60,000? We end up costing 120,000 or 150,000. And this traveler, when you go there first, when you give, then they give you a quotation. They will give you a kind of a keeper quotation. And then they tell you this is valid for 3 days. And then you know this is a government process also. By the time also you go there after 3 days, the thing has gone from maybe 75 to 120 or something like that. So this is something that we are also, that was the time I would discuss whether there is a process, we can have a framework agreement with some of these established airline, so that we'll be able to have that aspect. Other than that, it is always costing us a lot of money when it comes to purchasing of these tickets. So this is something that also will be guided. Maybe the audit can also give us guidance whether those things can be done, because we are spending a lot of money with tickets. At some point, we take the other way, which may not be the right way. Like for example, if a staff want to go and say go and pick your own ticket, and then we realize that we are even better off when the staff go and take the invoice in his name, even though we're going to pay, we are better off than when we say the agency's name. So sometimes when I look at it from, we seek value for money, but sometimes I felt that some of this process, we spend more money, but we have to follow the due process. But we spend more money dealing with that kind of a process with limited resources than when we take certain measures. But this is something that we also want to be guided by the audit, so that we'll know what next to be done to ensure that the limited resources are utilized in a very prudent manner. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honorable Member, yeah?
Yes, I think the proposed suggestion he made, I think makes a lot of sense, because that's what we have in National Assembly here. We were also under the same issue, but now we have a framework agreement with two or so, and we have seen drastic reduction in the cost of tickets. Now, you know, the shorter you get closer to the date of the travel, the more expensive the tickets become. In fact, we even explored using our online, using your Visa card, whatever it is. I tried it myself, and it's like 50% reduction. But maybe what I will refer you to the office of the clerk, you can, consult with him and the director of finance, and they will tell you what we have in place. But it has helped us a lot to reduce it. You know, sometimes also some of these agencies, if you don't pay on time, they will also add those things to the cost of the ticket, because you commit and you don't have money. They will like, this one, you owed me money 6 months, 7 months ago. I mean, they're a business entity, So if you hold their money for 6 months, 7 months, you don't pay, like some institutions in Birkaman North. So that's what actually happened. So
why Birkaman North?
Yeah, but check with the office of the clerk. I think we have something in place that could actually help to reduce the cost.
Also, to add to what Dr. Saidi said, is the processes are, because that also is something that creates the delay. And once that delay is in there, the price will fluctuate. Yeah, that's also another issue, so that we put up another.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah. With the advent of the GPPA regulation 2024, it has increased the thresholds. So, like Honorable Mbo just mentioned, you can enter into framework agreement with the airlines. It can also reduce cost for you, like they have already experienced. But also, going through the RFQ method too, now you have more chances to use RFQ because the threshold has increased to 1 million. Yes, thank you.
Just to ask, is that effective? When is it been effective? RFQ, the 1 million threshold.
2025, last year, the 2024 regulation was gazetted and then it's now in use, yeah.
Thank you. I think this one is just a concern. If you realize, in most cases, when it comes to travels, per diems have been paid, but tickets are never paid. So, looking at this from the business point of view, the reason why air tickets are very costly when it comes to the agencies, parastatals, because we always pay them 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even a year. So if you delay their payment up to 6 months, they also calculate that duration, and they will add to the cost of that air ticket. In most cases, that's why air tickets are expensive. They are very expensive.
Part is the variation in the tickets price. Is it as a result of, like Honorable Bo indicated, if you buy early, you tend to have cheaper ticket. You wait until late last minute, then it's more expensive. In some instances, I would have in fact expected that the late it is, then the cheaper it should be, because you are selling a seat anyway. But that's not even my point. And my point is it that is the nature of the how the airline structure their ticketing, that the agents are charging us or passing to us, or actually there is more to it, like you have now highlighted, the delay in the payment, that there are also maybe interest charges or whatever. But this is something really, even with those who have established framework agreements with this travel agent, we still encourage this kind of variation in tickets.
Thank you very much for that question. We've seen, so there are so many contributing factors. Among them is the fluctuation of the the exchange rate. Many a times they structure their pricing based on exchange rate or seasonal. And then the third one is the closer it gets to your travel date, the more expensive it is. For instance, if you are traveling around December, it's more expensive. December, January is always very expensive. So you have to do your booking way before December, maybe in November, because it's a holiday season wherein many people are looking forward to travel for holidays or some other things.
Yeah, Uncle, the other thing is, in fact, when you go to this, following the procurement process, when you go for this, usually even to give you the quotation, there have been one done one to do that. So we have so many issues. So you'll be jumping from one end to another, or even they give you the procurement, the invoice. You know that that invoice will change just few. They always tell you that, oh, within a short time you'll. So your ticket that is telling you 90 or 100, by the time you go there, it's almost 200,000. So I think that aspect of having that framework agreement will help us a lot. And then the issue that we mentioned, which will also allow to have a copy of your regulation to guide us better. That will be a good thing for us as well. 2024 regulation. Yeah. No problem. Huh? If they sell, it's no problem. But we can get the gazetted one from printing department. Yes, that's fine.
So now we're going to page 15. Payment of monthly sitting allowance without monthly meetings. Page, we are joined. Okay. 1.5. Inappropriate procurement method is observed, and then on that the audit recommended management ensure an appropriate procurement method is used in future procurements. Management response?
Yeah, management has recognized the use of request for proposal for service, and therefore all consultancy services will henceforth use the appropriate method. Yeah, because a wrong method was used, which we agreed and accepted that it was wrong. So we will be using the the correct method now, which is request for proposal instead of request for quotations for consultancy services going forward.
So next, if you act correctly, that can be confirmed in the subsequent report. Audit?
Yes, so we will, once we do the 2024 review, we can confirm that this has been implemented.
Thank you. Next has to do with payment of monthly sitting allowance without monthly meetings. On that, the audit recommended that management should discontinue the payment of monthly allowances to committee members with immediate effect. Sitting allowance be paid quarterly and only one committee meets. Response?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The recommendation of the audit, your recommendation on this recommendation will be submitted to the Admin and Finance Committee for their consideration.
Did you do that?
We will, because we will present this into Admin and Finance Committee, there's been an audit flag so that they review the position on it.
For their consideration, but to act accordingly.
Yeah.
Hmm? Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so audit, that can be confirmed in the subsequent report.
Yes, we'll check that.
Yes, I wanted to say something.
Hmm?
Mr. Chair, let's be clear. It's either for management to agree with the recommendation and then act accordingly, or okay, if to indicate that they didn't agree with the position of the audit and is referring to the committee for further consideration. That is one aspect. Because auditors need to be guided whether this now is adopted and accepted, or no, we are not agreeing. But I think from a council point of view, maybe I stand guided further by the ED, but I think what the auditors are recommending is something reasonable.
Is what?
It's reasonable. Don't pay if they're not sitting, or only pay as established by the act. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Chair and Honorable. Yes, there are two committees, or two. You have the committee, the admin and finance committee, and then you have the council. And this issue, the issue of payment, I can remember when the director of admin and finance came in, told me that you have a standing payment for the committee members monthly, which when you look at from an accounting point of view is a salary. And these people are meeting quarterly. So I said, well, this is something that I inherited as well, but we'll look into it by I have to put to the admin and finance committee. Hence now it become an audit issue. It is important for us to reflect on it because this was a decision that was taken by the committee in terms of allocating this allowance. So now I have to put it to them that looking at the whole scenario, a committee is paid allowance for the sitting. And now if you have a standing allowance, that is every month, whether you are sitting or you are not sitting, you are paid, which means you have a salary kind of thing. So this is something that I'm going to, in our next meeting, so it may not reflect in the 2024 accounts, but hopefully in 2025 account, this thing supposed to be, or 2026, because this decision will be taken in 2026, yes. But this is something that he raised when he was newly employed, and I said it was there. I don't know the basis of why we have that aspect, but I'll communicate it to the admin and finance committee. But for the council, is when they meet, they are paid. Yeah, that one for the council, when they have a meeting, they are paid. For the admin, when they meet, because when they meet, we don't pay them because they already have a standing payment. But at least every month you are receiving something which is considered as a from the accounting point of view.
Whether you meet or not.
Yes, yes. Whether you meet or not, it's just like you are receiving a normal
allowance for that.
And the situation is, even you are not there, the one who come will not receive that amount, which is also a little bit not fair. So when you are, if you are there, the one who is represented, who is officially communicated to be the member of the committee, will be receiving this monthly salary, monthly allowance.
Okay, you have to take responsibility. I mean, the committee cannot be more powerful than the management.
I'll put it to them that it's an audit query, and henceforth this is discontinued. I think that will conclude the whole thing. Thank you.
It is not part of that committee. Admin and finance.
Pardon? Yeah.
So you are not part of admin and finance.
I'm part of it.
You see?
No, but frankly, to be honest.
So your role is very critical. I think you can direct them now.
Yes, I think I'm part of the admin and finance committee, and this is a concern. Actually, it is chaired by Office of the President, and then this is something that I will raise. But it is an audit query. We have to make sure that we adhere to those concerns. If we cannot have any justification, and I think if the council is meeting and paid during a sitting, then why is it the committee is getting a different allowance? And when the council is a bigger body, higher. Yes.
Okay. So the audit will confirm that as well in the subsequent report, right? Yeah, 26 mentioned. Audit, they said it can only be confirmed in 2026.
Yeah, what we can do is, if it is addressed in 2026, we can provide that update in the prior year, the prior year comments.
Okay. So, and remember, okay, that's the end for the ML 22 and 23. Hmm? Mm. We have the Honorable Njai.
Review of matters previously please.
So these ones that we are checking in the previous one will still stand. So in a nutshell, that is to say, I mean, when we were treating the 2021, these ones that we have taken on matters that we have resolved for you to act on, and then some of them we gave you timeline to report, and some will be confirmed in the subsequent report. That will stand on the issues that are recurring 2022 and 2023. So if we are given the update and its record in 2021 and its record in 2022 and 2023, you can take note of both from 21 to 23, right? Okay. So, honorable members, we have exhausted the ML. We have the, how do you call it? The activity plan. Honorable members, we have a summary from the analysis on the finance and as well as the activity report that we want to, I think you have a copy of the analysis. Hmm? Yes. The first one has to do with the legal mandate and governance structure. It's observed that the current act, which is already under review for some time now, was designed during the previous government, obviously creating too much concentration of executive power, which effectively weakened policy formulation, presents material governance, and may cause weaknesses with divergent cabinet interests that limits institutional checks and balances, and also a council dominated by cabinet ministers may also compromise independent technical experts in decision-making and weaken accountability, undermining enhanced public and donor confidence. So with that, we will ask some questions relating to that, and the management can look into. That is to say, does the current review of the Act include separation of policy and oversight, the rules by training policy coordination at ministerial level while creating an independent board for NEA? That's the first concern.
Okay, can I answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. And in the new NEMA Act, there is a board that is created, and that board actually does that's supposed to do an independent oversight. And in that board, the provision is that the board is going to be constituted based on the competence of the not necessarily, it's good based on the competence of that institution. So you can be a representative from a particular institution based on knowledge and competence or expertise with respect to the role that you're going to do in that board in advising the agency. So this is what what is proposed in the new NEMA, that is going to separate the new NEMA that is going to have that function to be able to be independent of the policy aspect. So the new NEMA has so that new board will now replace the admin and finance committee.
The board will replace
admin and finance committee in the new, yes, in the new.
And there will be council.
There will be council.
And the composition of council will still remain.
The composition of the council will still the same, yes.
Well, the council will be responsible for policy.
Policy, while the board will now take into order admin and technical issues.
Management issues.
Management issues, yes.
Honorable Minister?
Yeah, I think the confusion was the role of these two related bodies, whether or not NEA should have these additional 2 layers of board and also council. And like he said, at the moment, there was also similarity of board as well as the admin and finance committee. What exactly the finance committee is doing today is like an oversight of technical and admin matters for management, and for which that responsibility we all believe should go to the board. Having a board, do you still require a council? Yes, because this is a cross-cutting issue. And a council of ministers chaired by the vice president or the president is required for proper administration of environment matters. And that is how the council was constituted. So the council rule and the board rule is significantly different. The concern expressed as you have read would be squarely addressed if they are contextualized within those structures that the NEA need to have and follow. But the duplication is, I think, more or less at the level of the admin and finance and the board, and not the board and council. Thank you.
Well, okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think from that point, the agency have worked extremely hard. And I think during my report, I did mention that effective coordination and collaboration with both internal and that has really helped us a lot. Currently, I can humbly inform this August body that in this we have actually worked with the international community, and currently they have approval for 3 projects with international organizations like Jeff-funded projects that are there to support certain environmental management sectors in this country. So hopefully in 2026, you will see some of those projects being implemented. One of them is the climate resilient, which is basically trying to change our landscape in the urban area, trying to build urban resilience within our road network and because usually our towns are usually filled with concrete, and we not really look into environmental issues. So we want to make sure that these things are changed, and some of the swamp lands that are there, which are being changed into buildings or stores, are going to be used to make it environmental friendly areas. So that aspect I've been looking into, and then besides that, we have other pending projects that are also in the process of finalization with international partners. So that has been looked into over the past few years, and we are pleased to inform that that has been taken care of right now. In addition, due to the performance over the past years, we also have what we call hack system. We are also assessed internationally as an institution whether we are fit to implement international projects. And as of 2025, before we are rated as medium, but as of 2025, we have another assessment with FAO, and now we are considered as low-risk institution to be able to handle international funds at our level. So this is something that we've also graduated from being a medium or middle institution to a low risk. That means we can handle international funds in line with the necessary standard procedure. So this report is also concluded. We got that report in 2026. So at this point in time, the agency can engage international, we can handle their funds, and the 3 projects that are approved are actually going to be housed at the National Environment Agency using that kind of standard. So at least that is also a recognition from the international body that we are also moving in line with what is expected of us as an institution and as an agency of this country.
Chair, the matter borders on the question of good governance and best practices for management and administration of environment agencies. The agency have to have a good balance between the authority is required to deal with regulation matters and also enforcement matters, and that recognizing the fact that it is also established by an act of parliament. So we would have to maintain the color of public sector as much as possible. But at the same time, elsewhere, the question of independent in operation or independent in public finances and can be trusted enough as a corporate entity to manage international funds or donations. That's by and largely have to be built and by the entity as a professional body. But that is the question and that is the concern. The report seems to reflect, and I think both National Assembly as well as government and management need to reflect very closely in getting the right balance to be able to deal with these matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think in my activity report, I mentioned some of these regulatory gaps, and then we trying to look, we came up with this law, the bills that are also put into that are with the National Assembly to fix some of those gaps that we have. However, in terms of our inspectors, they don't have the powers to arrest per se. But over the years, we work with the Inspector General of Police, and then currently we have a police unit stationed at the National Environment Agency. We call it the Police Environment Police Unit. They are police officers, but they are stationed at the National Environment Agency. And that police unit is responsible for supporting our inspector. They work together when they are going for inspection. And the issue of arrest may not be there. Usually, currently the law is saying you are considered, I don't know, innocent until we prove you guilty. That means if you find a culprit, all what you need to do is to serve the person a summon, and also the person will go before, appear before the magistrate or so, and then the proof now becomes whether you are really, so which also go beyond us. And in terms of prosecution, that's where we have, and I mentioned that one. Usually we have a lot of cases that are also lying in the courts with respect to our enforcement procedures. And when that is done, sometimes people don't feel that anything is going to come by from that. So I think sometime back I can give an update to the honorable minister. I have almost 300 cases that are lying in the courts, and then when it goes to the court, we have no control. So these are some of the challenges that we have, but having the police has really helped us a lot in the enforcement. So this has been taken care of in the new bill, the new NEMA bill, which we want to use what you call spot fine, that you are considered guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So that has to be taken place by the new NEMA bill if it is accepted by this National Assembly and put into implement, and that will help us a lot. So that means the onus is on the offender to say that you consider me guilty, but I'm innocent. So that is what, and that's going to help us a lot in the process. But currently, in terms of enforcement, we are very pleased that the Inspector General has given us a unit that is even with us, and then they are always moving around with us when we come to enforcement. In fact, very few days we're going to start another enforcement before the Ramadan on certain aspects as well.
Yes, the express concern there relates to enforcement and effectiveness of the agency in enforcing its regulation and the rules. And now you've heard from the assessments that there are gaps in the regulations, but there are also gaps in the structures. In that much as the collaboration of the police is most welcome and very supportive, it's still not enough because you require inspectors and enforcers that are also very equipped in environmental laws. I mean, they may not necessarily sit at the level of the police who are doing the prosecution today. Contrary, if this capacity was resident at the level of the agency. So what kind of institutional restructuring is required to enhance that administration is very, very critical. Number two is the fact that clearly in our legal architecture, treating all matters equally, operating from the principle of you are innocent until proven guilty. In the context of environment, will be difficult. And that is the alert and the suggestion being suggested that, look, this entity must be equipped to be able to find somebody on the crime and deal with the matter. And then it's up to now the individual or the victim, as it were, to now go to the courts and prove himself otherwise. Until you have that kind of situation, the evidence was not going to be there permanently, even if you have to go through the normal court process. There are so many challenging and constraining factors. At the moment, if we continue to do it, to approach it the way it should be as dictated by law and current practice. So these are things that also need to be closely looked at.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think this is a very important point, and it's also a concern, and the agency is working extremely hard to issue. You know, the issue of plastic. We really, plastic is just like selling drugs. Even though the people, the down people who are using it are the ordinary people who are selling this ice and other things. And we over the past few years, we have almost confiscated almost 8 tons of plastic, and the records are there. But even the way they bring this plastic into the country, if you are looking for this plastic, it's just like when somebody is trying to sell. But now the people who normally buy it, particularly these ordinary people, like people who are using this Fpac, people who are using this. So when you bring this group of people, sometimes you can see it is difficult, but the point is what we are often trying to drive at is to try to create this awareness to people. Because when there is no market, there's not going to be business. And this is something that we are working very, very hard to ensure that we engage the people, we discuss with the people, but it's very, very difficult. It becomes a very societal issue. And then, to be honest, at the beginning, the enforcement, the way it was rigorous when the thing started, it was after some level of changes, it's not the way it's supposed to be done. And this is something that is also another discussion. But at now, we are working with trying to eliminate the source, and then we are working with the enforcement agencies at office at the borders to support in trying to create that one. But the waste management bill will support us a lot in trying to enforce the ban on plastic. The ban on plastic has a certain level of weaknesses, which we cannot really do the necessary, because there are gaps where you have to allow certain level of plastic to come in, the exemptions. So those are particularly used in the supermarkets, used in there are certain level of plastic that also have to be allowed to come in, because when you are using with the food and other things. But that aspect has created a lot of problems for us. So we are trying to see how we can strengthen that ban to be able to capture some of the things that is prevailing around. But the bottom line is the buyers are us. And usually even us at home, when you go to a supermarket, when they give you a toothpaste, they put it in plastic and we put it there. So apparently we are the one who are actually making this entity more lucrative. If all of us desist, when you go to a supermarket and give you something like a toothpaste, before they put it in the plastic and say, no, I don't need the plastic, you know this thing, then it becomes a problem that When there is no market, there is not no buyer. No, when there is no buyer, there is not going to be any money. So that's the line of action that we also looking at in addition to this enforcement with the necessary authority. But it's a very big challenge as at now.
Apart from controlling the importation, we also put in place alternative material that small-scale businesses can use without the plastic, for example, the ABS, the eye sellers.
Yes, we provided this alternative, but this one also is not us. We can only suggest to investors, people who suppose so. It's not also we can suggest. You can come up with paper bag, you can come with jute bag, and those long term. But at the end of the day, the mere fact that the issue of plastic is not easily addressed because the jute bag may be more expensive than the ordinary plastic. So any investor will also see if I'm going to invest in alternative bags and the plastic is going on, what is going to be my business? So these are some of the problems that so you have investors that came and they wanted to do this alternative packaging material, but now we have to address the issue of these other ones. Other than that, if you invest in an alternative packaging material and still these cheaper ones are in the market, it becomes a problem. But if you go to most of the shops, you realize that now it's only the ordinary, but usually most of the shops, they are using this jute bag when they are giving you. It's only the supermarket that you see most of it is plastic.
Yes, Chair, I think you are right. In terms of looking for a substitute, it could be something that's reusable, that you can use multiple times, etc. Because the fact of the matter is, this chocolate ice is not going away. That's a fact. No, that will remain. In fact, I like it to remain also. So for that being the case, I think we must look for solutions that will be rewarding to the importers. Because if somebody's going to come and bring something that could be a substitute for plastic, I think we need to find a way to reward that particular company. And I think NEA would have a great deal in trying to encourage them, and also even with the level of GRA. Because if you, like you said, if they come and the other one is not stopping, it will not be a good business venture for them. So because of their for profit. But if we are able to provide some kind of like reward in terms of tax haven, in terms of, you know, a lot of these things that we can do to be able to compete, to completely wipe the other one out, I think that will be more lucrative than just leaving them to go that way. So we must find ways where we are able to help them to be able to make the business really very lucrative to operate. Otherwise, the other one will still come. Now, the other aspect is this thing. If you are right, if you go to most supermarkets here, they give you something plastic. Me, I go there, I buy something, I say, no, I don't want plastic. Where would I put it? You know? So that supermarket that is selling the plastic, they are not buying from this ordinary person. They are not. There is a big source somewhere. Whether you're going to have anonymous buyers, you give, I don't know, some of your staff, whatever it is, and they just go to the supermarket, try to buy and give me plastic. Then I will hold you accountable. Where do you get this plastic from? So we have to find various mechanisms where we can go. But above all, I've seen some supermarkets also, they'll give you paper bag. I've seen that also. Like I went to one around Busebe area, they put something in paper bag, then I left there. So which I also is, I think is good. So we must encourage those substitutes, but we must look for something that's going to reward them as well, so that they'll be able to sustain their business. Otherwise, the other one will compete, and then they will not go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add, I think, Doctor, you can also remember when we were young, when the price control will come and send you to the shop, like to go and buy kerosene. And then after buying, they see that maybe the measurement they have used is the wrong one. Then you go with the price control officer to the shop, and then they got apprehended. So I think this was happening during my childhood. Yeah, sugar, everything.
So you have to be careful. I mean, if you say a plastic ban, now, and yet the culprit end up being only the women vendors in the markets, because there are tons of plastic in the supermarkets. There are tons of plastics in the shops. So when we say ban, even now, right before me, it's just, this is plastic. So what do you do? So we cannot continue to have a regime that discriminates against small businesses. And that has what has also challenged the implementation, strict implementation of the policy. But notwithstanding, like recognized by the ED, there must be alternative. You ban plastic, there must be alternative. Let's try to find out what are the available alternatives to substitute for plastic. But more importantly also, the victims more or less end up being the wrong persons. The importers are the one making the millions, and they're the one bringing the plastics. But of all the cases that have been referred maybe for prosecution, they become invisible. It is only our own people that have been affected. So what happened to these importers who are making the money? Like he said, drugs. The small trafficker make a chicken chain. It is the dealer that should be targeted. But this is not the case in this case. So, and then I think there should also be a third option, and that is, if we cannot stop plastic, how do we dispose it properly? And that is where waste management also come into play.
Yeah, I think there is a company around Canifing that is making this paper bag, because but before they were making money because people were buying it when the ban on the plastic bag was somehow effective. But later when it became ineffective, then those people are now even, their business is even down. So I think, I don't know whether we have to enforce our laws or what we need to do. But I agree with what you have said.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this is something, and the agency also realized the issue of plastic is a very complicated issue, and then we develop also a policy on what you call National Action Plan for Elimination of Plastic, which is a 10-year policy. So what the Honorable Minister is talking about, it's something that now we have to now work on and roll it out as we move along. And this policy is already available. We can even share that policy, both the summary and the bigger document, so that you will see how we plan to and work with all the necessary stakeholders to ensure that the issue of and he mentioned issues related to management. Also, currently we are also working with a reputable private consulting entity that is going to help us in the management of waste in general, which include plastic. So this is something that we also working on. It's really a lot of money involved in most of, so it's very difficult to get people to come and invest. It has to be a very big lucrative. They have to be given certain consensus for the people to embark on those aspects. But at least plans are afoot. Particularly the policy is already there, on also the plastic. Hopefully, the management of the waste in general, hopefully, before the next few months, you will see a different phase when you come to waste management, which will include the plastic as well. But it's very, very difficult. It affects ordinary people, and sometimes, and I normally say I say when we start enforcement, I don't want politicians to call me to say that one of our YI campaign is arrested for this thing, which we normally receive. People will be calling us to say, oh, do you know that this is the chairperson of our campaign manager, and is arrested for being called to go and answer for using plastic. So when you look at it, we have to look at it from a very holistic point of view, even though the law says we have to do this thing.
But also, we need to respect the laws of the land, and laws are laws, and laws are made to be respected. It is up to you now to make sure that there is enough sensitization, because we shouldn't just sit and say that these were JAME laws. JAME laws are still laws of the land, and they need to be respected. If we say that we have laws that ban plastic, and we have the NEA that is meant to enforce these laws, telling us that they compromise these laws, I think that is a cause for concern. Even if the president should call you and say that my chief of staff is arrested for this, they should be ready to face the consequences of the law. So I think laws should be respected. And as National Assembly members, as a committee, and for you as the agency that should, I think we should start sensitizing, serious sensitization. It is not only stopping people from using plastic, it is protecting the environment as well. We depend on the seas. Some of us depend on the seas for our livelihoods, and the more we use plastic, the more we are preventing our fish, even our animals that is on the land, because it is serious threat to them. So I think we should try to reduce the excuses, enforce the laws, impose the sanctions, and make sure that people are also aware. I think most of the time it is the lack of awareness. Most people think that once somebody leaves, they leave with the laws that they make, because we have seen it in terms of FDM recently. So I think we must try to sensitize our people and try to enforce the laws of this land.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think it's a very, very good point. And frankly, the agency, as now, we are not even compromising when it comes to enforcement. And the other thing that we also want to also put across is the fact that even the institution that's supposed to protect the law, sometimes, if there was a time 5 years ago, I mentioned to the committee of this that, the building you are in did not have environmental impact assessment. And I said, we're going to send you not even a bill, because you have to regularize your system, because the building is built in a place which is a wetland area, and it did not get any environmental approval. And as a result, and then
I think the agency should be seen as the example by adhering. Because I saw in the reports that you have even overseen some of your environmental inspections before any project, and I think you should stand firm as the agency that should and set the example, because you cannot hold people accountable for something that you yourself are not doing, because like the Wolof say, danga lead by dohinal dohal doh bi njëkka, and then people would follow. So I think we should be responsible. We should be held responsible first before we try to enforce.
Yeah, and I think we've done a decision has been made by council, signed by the vice president, that every project, irrespective of whether it's a public or private, supposed to undergo environmental impact assessment process. That is also so how the leader, the executive, are also trying to be environment compliant. And this is something that we also base on to ensure that whatever we are doing, we follow what the law dictates in terms of environmental management. So hopefully we'll send a letter here so that we can regularize your building, and we advise how long. I think that is something that is very, very important also as well.
I think that will be welcome, because we cannot hold you accountable and not.
Yeah.
I think we are allowing the minister to go, so we might have to adopt the report in his absence. But we think that the agency management will be in good hands to guide us as we adopt the report. I think he can be excused because he's been with us since yesterday.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you. I think, and I think he's been, Honorable. It's also Thursday. We should consider that Thursdays, that's when ministers have their cabinet meeting, and he's been with us the whole of yesterday, and he's been with us all morning as well. So Yeah, you are excused, Honorable. Thank you. So we proceed with the financial statement analysis. I think when it comes to regarding enforcement.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Thank you very much. This one is a question, and also to know stakeholders who are responsible, because as NEA, you have stakeholders like the councils and other bodies, even National Road Authority. You know, they are your stakeholders. Like if they are building these roads, especially these new roads, you know, most of these new roads, they go along with pavement. Hmm? So do you normally engage them so that they can leave space for tree planting? Because I don't see that. Normally for us at the level of our community, we ask them to put a tire so that they can have somewhere to plant tree. And at the same time also, I just want to be clear, because most of the roads also, okay, you may clean it, but the sun on the road, I just want to know who is responsible to clear those sand, because at the end of the day, those sands are there when car passes, create dust, and you know, and this dust environmentally is not good for us. So I don't know what we can do, what NEA can do in collaboration with all these key stakeholders to ensure most of these roads, especially these new roads that are already in concrete with pavement, to clear the sand, because the sand is really, really a big problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very important. Yes, when it comes to cleanliness or waste management, generally the responsibility of waste management is the council, because they do the day-to-day activities. All what we want to see is to ensure that the environment is clean. And where we can support them technically, we do that in terms of also infrastructure and even the capacity building. That's what they enforce, that the place is clean. So this is something we work with all stakeholders, including the communities, to ensure that this is done. But sometimes you don't get what you want. And that also has some certain limitation in terms of when we are engaging most of this council. We even have MOUs with this council. How can we work together as a team to ensure that the roads, our areas are clean? So this is something that we do, and the new bill we expect to, but still we are working with them to ensure that this is done. So the other aspect that we've mentioned is very, you know, when a road is built, it becomes an infrastructure that the management of that infrastructure is the National Road Authority, which means under normal circumstances, the cleaning of that, the cleaning of the drainage is under the public, because the drainage, the road or whatever is part of the infrastructure that's supposed to be managed by the National Road Authority. And at some point, I had a meeting with the then MD on how can we come up with mechanism to ensure that we clean this road. Because I always tell them, even when we are going on this road, there are plants germinating on this road, which shows that with the destruction of the road is even, so even those things can be cleared. So, and even the marking of the road, I said this is part of road traffic rule. If the roads are not marked, so if the roads are not marked, then you are, so what can we do to make sure that we have something that is adequate, including wiping? The roads are usually covered by the sun halfway. So the road may be big, but still people will think that we only follow the black part when the road is bigger than that. But if those things are clear, I can remember having that meeting with until we set up a committee, but later on he left. Maybe I have to engage the new MD on how to go on those aspects. But the infrastructure of any road setting in this country is the National Road Authority that's supposed to do the clean, including the drainage and whatever, and the repairs or whatever.
I think we should make this clear. It's not every road, it's every major road, because if you say that now, people always run to councils and saying that councils are not cleaning the road. So I think we should make this clear for accountability purposes. It's only major roads. So it means that councils and central government are equally responsible, so they should be held together, because feeder roads obviously are the responsibility of the councils, but the major roads are the responsibility of central government. And if one is not cleaned, obviously it will transcend to the other. So it has to be a unified force to ensure that the roads are clean. It's not only about cleaning. The cleaning is also, once it is cleansed, it stops being hazardous and prevents mostly accidents, like you've mentioned, and people would know where the road starts and ends, so that they will also be used as, some part will not be used as pedestrian roads. So thank you very much. I think we proceed now to to revenue analysis. It was observed that in 2021, the government subventions declined 100% from 26.3 million to 13 million in 2023. However, development fees increased by 300% from 5.3 in 2021 to 21.09 in 2023. And according to the financial reports, these are permits charged for development projects. The fee is 15% levy of the project amount. It did offset the huge decrease in government subvention during the years under review. Could the management explain if there are any explanations for what is behind these huge differences? Thank you. Of the financial report. Page 18 of 2023.
Thank you, Manager. In 2023, the subvention received is 13,000, which is, as you said, is less by, 13 million, which was 22.4 million in 2022. In 2023, what really happened was we were still under subvention, but it was not coming as was approved in the annual budget of the government. So sometimes, it's a monthly of about 2 million, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a monthly subvention of about 2.2 million, but sometimes we receive 750,000, sometimes we receive 1 million or 1.5 million. Understand? But the issue of that has been addressed in 2024 when we went to the president. This was came up there, and they have given directives to the finance ministry. In 2024, we recovered almost all the areas in was related to 2024. So the difference is about the subvention. We don't have any control over it, so we receive what is been given to us. But the approved one in the budget is 2 million. So we should be receiving about 26 million in a year, but we don't receive it.
So normally you should be receiving about 26 million, but
year.
it's always short.
Yeah.
How does it affect the daily operations of the agency?
It has greatly affected the operation of the agency, because subvention mostly or basically was intended to cover the salary. So some of the revenues received from other activities like the development fees and other incomes are used to cover, augment our salary payment. and that has some effects on the operational activities which the agency should be doing in a year.
Members, any nothing? Okay, I think we will take note of that, but also if something is budgeted for, I think it is prudent that finance obliged based on what is budgeted for. But sometimes a budget, they might say a budget is a budget, and if the monies are not there, they will say it's not there. But something that is meant for operation must be adhered to, otherwise it would affect the operational mandates of the agency. Another observation.
Maybe let me come to that. Thank you very much. I think as of now, the agency is out of subvention. So we are not subvented. So we are operating on, yes, based on our own way.
That is accrued.
Approved, yeah.
Okay, and
based
I
on
think
the income that we either get from GRA and also what we collect in terms of our enforcement and
project
other things as
development.
well.
because even if you look at it analytically, maybe what they subvent is also based on your receipts, because if you have more income accrued, I think they reduce the subvention based on that, because that is what I've observed personally anyway. I'm not sure what the other SMSs would recommend and what audit would also observe, but that is, in my layman's eye, that is what I have observed anyway. And it also shows that 70% of other income is derived from the environmental tax on used vehicles and development fees. And what is the NEA doing to increase funding from other development partners concerned about environmental protection?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier on, dealing with the environment and other partners, international partners on environmental management also, we have to build that trust and institutional capacity. And I mentioned earlier on that currently we have almost 3 projects, but besides that, we also have other what we call enabling activity projects that support the agency's operations as well. So as of now, at least we are at a good footing to ensure that we are able to execute our mandate in line with what is the provision of the law in taking care of the environment with both national and international partners. So we'll see a lot, but managing environment is very, very expensive, and it's not a joke about it. And whatever resources you may get, you still need more resources. But we all try to make sure that the little we have, we work in line with that to ensure that, because it involves a lot of operation, a lot of things, and sometimes we have emergency issues. Sometimes we have an oil spill. That oil spill, we have to go as front before even the polluter has to come into play, and then you cannot wait for the person. You have to do, and sometimes what the law is saying like now, if you do the pull after we did the asset, then now we claim that one from the one who does the pollution, which also takes another long period of time. So it's a little bit complicated, but at least as of now we are on that, and we're also strengthening a lot of our enforcement, because people also, we don't have mobility. All our cars, that time the newest car we have was almost 14 years. But right now almost every unit is allocated with a new car. That has helped us a lot in doing the enforcement. And that's also led to most of this income that we are generating right now. You either do it now, you die. That's the policy there.
Important that you have what you need for monitoring, because monitoring will stop it will help enforcement, and it can also help in sensitizing people, because when you are not seen, people will think that it is no more, but you also need to be very visible. I think we've discussed the plastic ban fine before, but we still need to ask why the plastic ban fines dropped from 160,000 to 48,000 in 2022, and then again rose rose to 888,000 in 2023. I think that is self-explanatory. Again, we need to push you to make sure that the law is enforced, because the higher the ban, it shows that people are violating the law. So obviously we know the reason behind this acceleration and the trend in recent years. So we are trying to make sure that you try to sensitize people and get them to respect the laws, not only for themselves, but also in protecting the environment for future generations to come. So I think we proceed if you don't have any more contribution, because I think we've discussed that at length in the previous observation. So can we proceed, or?
The thing I just want to add on to the fact that also we are trying to also include schools. We call catch them young, so that the schools these are built into the children's system, so that when they grow, they know environmental protection is also key, and then they grow with it. So we call that Catch Them Young initiative that has been going on, and then we have a lot of schools that we are engaging on that one as well.
We then proceed to the expenditure analysis from 2021 to 2023. Page 23 in the 2022-2023 reports states that the grant of 5 million from the government towards the construction of a laboratory unit was charged to work in progress in 2022. This was subsequently transferred to buildings as 10.846 million in 2023. It was further It was further reported that additional cost was incurred for the rehabilitation of the main building. Okay. The 5 million initially given keeps coming and going. The 5 million initially given by government rose to 10.8 million, an amount of 1.17 million was deducted, leaving a net balance of 7.54, which was used to zero-rise the work in progress account. NEA should clarify this unusual transaction and also the gain of 19.7 million realized from the valuation of its land and buildings during the years 2022 and 2023. So can you clarify this unusual transaction and also the gain of 19.7 million realized? Thank you.
Madam Chair, can you please tell me where are you reading this from? Because I'm
page 23 of the 2022 and 2023 combined reports. Page 23.
Page 20? Which? 23 account.
Finance.
Is the fixed asset one in it? Yeah. So the agency carried out evaluation of this land and building during the year. Properties were acquired for allocation for the government of the Gambia and its agency at low cost to agent. Evaluation is already a gain of 19 recognized as for the income in respect of initial recognition of GIF associated with the evaluation So can you please repeat your question, please? Now I've seen it.
We need clarification of this unusual transaction and also on the gains of 19.7 million realized.
Maybe I'll talk on one. The issue of the building. Thank you very much. Yeah. The issue of the building, we at that time we received some support from the ministry or from government to offer a 5 point towards the construction, the extension of our laboratory building. And that funds were used, but when the funds came before the process started, it took a long period of time. And that has really created some gap. And when the construction also started, there was a time then the contractor and the management had some contractual issues in terms of performance. At some point, the work was stopped to a level it could not actually proceed. So it reached a level where we are at a dead end. And then now it reached, and at that point, we have to start and then see how can we, because there was a time when the contractor even have to take us to, there's an arbitrary within the Minister of Finance that he has done something, and now we are not satisfied with it, and then, you know, so there was a lot of complication to a level that when the work resumed, almost everything changed to a level that we have lead to that expenses that that has reached to that level. And then I even have I even inherited some part of the thing before it was completed. So it was actually a difficult moment that led to the changes, because they have to change based on the fluctuation of whatever prices and so forth. And to some point, it reached a level where it has to go to that level. But the initial point that was given was basically 5 million, but the building, that building was not actually evaluated at that level. What the government did at the ministry was just the contribution of 5 million. So the other rest has to come from the agency. So not necessarily the 5 million is supposed to do the entire work, and that has actually evolved into so many problems until we reach that level. So it would relate to delays in execution of the work, and the deliverables, complicated issues to a level that it we are better off continuing with the contractor than actually asking this contractor to go and bring another contractor to start the work, which would be more expensive. So that's what led to most of these discrepancies as well. Maybe my explanation may not, but at least that's what because this started in other management, but we have to take the responsibility of moving forward. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, are you satisfied with that? Because for me, a contract is a contract, and it should have a duration. Even if it were to be increased, there should be a certain percentage. I think not more than 10% or less than 10%. So I'm not sure whether, I mean, me personally, I'm not satisfied with that, because if a contractor has proven that, like you said, you were not satisfied with the work and it had to stop. So if you are not satisfied with the work and you increase or whatever the payment to that point, I don't see, I would leave it to my colleagues to also add, but me personally, I don't think, or I will give it to Audit to further. Audit?
Thank you very much. I just want to add some light on the numbers. I cannot remember for certain what the contract amount was, but the 5 million basically wasn't intended to complete the building, if I could recall well. But I wouldn't address that. On the issue of the work in progress and also the 19 million, those are the ones I need to. So what happened with the building was in 2022, we had work in progress relating to mainly that laboratory and the roofing. And as at end of 2023, the 7.5 million, as at December, we are told this building was completed for capitalization purposes. The 7.5 million was transferred from work in progress to building. But if you look at the note in the building, you have 10 point something million there. There is a difference. So that difference relates to extension works that they have carried during 2023. So it does not represent entirely the work in progress. The work in progress has been transferred, but there are additional offices, security offices that were built in 2024 and completed in 2024. So when you add that cost, that is what you are giving, arriving at that 10 point something.
10 point.
Exactly.
But was that reflected in any budget, or was the proper procurement done for that additional part of the project?
This way. Usually, what happened in terms of those extensions? Yes, there were a lot of extensions that were done, not necessarily only on the building, including the face of the offices. That time when we are entering the office, it's difficult for you to even to park your car because of the way it is. And also the fencing of the building, putting extra security measures, and the some offices behind where you have so when we have some very good expert, so usually that very good masoners at the office also. So what was done was basically to procure material and involve our those people to work to erect those aspects. So if you look at most of that cost is actually related to the buying of material, but not necessarily. And then we normally pay honorarium for the extra services that is done by those qualified masoners and other people at the building. So usually that must have been the case, but it not necessarily has to go through the buying of the material. Have to go through procurement process. But in terms of involving some of our qualified masoners who are there within the office to do that kind of work, that did not go.
Retained in the office to do that work?
They are in the office. Yeah, they're actually there. And they're actually staff. Some of them are cleaners, but they have that extra expertise in terms of masonry.
In terms of accountability,
yeah,
and transparency,
yeah,
because obviously, like you said, they were cleaners and they are paid to clean.
yeah.
And if you are to compensate them, it needs to go through a formal process and recorded accordingly. So I think it's still not clarified, but we will still take note of that and move ahead and make sure that it doesn't happen again for accountability and transparency purposes. Thank you.
All right, so.
Let me comment. I think maybe the decision that was taken is basically, we realized that there was a time when we invited somebody to just do the extension of the fence, just to put some 3 blocks, because there was a security alert. We wanted to host a UNDP officer, and they came to assess the building, and they realized that the security level at the building, they are not sure of bringing an international staff to come and work there. So when we're doing that, when we bring people to come and assess, the amount of money to do that, in fact, if you look at that amount, was able to do a lot of other things compared to what, so maybe the process may not be, so we felt that using our people to be able to carry that work would be, but at least if the process is not followed, that's something that we have to look into. But basically, it's also regularly looking at issue of judicious use of resources, the limited resources that we have at that time.
Yeah. I think your life is also as important as the life of that expert that you had in the building. You should also protect the local workers as well. Or did you have any contribution?
Not on the same point. I just want to address the 19 million that you talked about. What happened, if you could recall yesterday, that from 2020 up to 2022, we issued a qualified opinion, and one of the main sticking point was the absence of valuation of their lands and buildings. So in 2023, they did a revaluation or evaluation, a revaluation and evaluation. For the land, it was never valued, it was never in their books. For the building, the cost is in their books, so they did a revaluation. So for accounting purposes, we had to separate these two. So if you look at the income statement, there is around a 19 million, which is coming as part of other income, because that is initial recognition of an asset that was gifted. So the value of that land has to come as income, because yeah, it was added. So if you look at the income statement, in effect, the surplus is around 2 million if you take out that 19 million. For the building, because it's a revaluation, the gain that was realized was taken to equity. That is what you have in the balance sheet as a revaluation surplus. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any comments on that, management?
No, I think what he said is is consistent with the international standards as well, so it's acceptable.
So we take note and proceed. Audit, can we proceed? Thank you. We go to amounts written off in 2021 and 2022. An amount of 6.1 million was written off under general expenses as a credit entry on, this is shown on page 23 of the 2021 financial statements, which relates to penalties of 0.997 million, waived by the GRA, plus an advance payment of 0.36 million for goods that were not supplied as indicated on page 23 of the same report, 2021 financial statement. And these two amounts added together fell short of the negative 6.1 million charged in the 2021 accounts as general expenses. Could the NEA kindly provide further explanation on the significant difference of 4.7 million as reported in the financial statements of 2021? It's on page 23, 2021.
Madam Chair, maybe I can assist on this.
Page 23?
It's on page 2023, 2021 accounts. One account, sir.
23, yes. Of the 2021 account.
Okay, Madam Chair, I think there's a deficiency in the note. We should have explained what the difference relates to, but I could record very well what it relates to.
Okay, can you?
If you could remember in 2020, I'm not sure whether he was around when we are doing the 2021. Maybe that's why. In 2020, we had a qualified opinion. One was the valuation of the building. The other one was reconciling their project accounts. They had projects that have closed with balances in the books. We couldn't determine what these balances relate to. We qualified 2020 based on that. In 2021, management identified that all these are projects that have closed years ago. These balances do not exist, so we had to clean it up. So the difference that you are having relates to projects that have actually closed with balances in the books which we had to write off. Some of these balances are actually turning out to when you write them off as income. So that is the difference in there. Okay. If you also look at the, in addition to that, which I believe maybe NAO needs to look at, is if you look at just where you have the cash note 12
Note 12
of 2020.
on page 24. 2021.
2023. Sorry. It should be note 13 instead, note 13. Page 25. Just on the same project accounts. If you look at note 13.1, we have a breakdown called unrestricted funds, agency bank balances. So these are funds or bank accounts for the agency. Note 13.2, you have restricted. These are project accounts. Just hold on. If you go to the balance sheet on page 6 of the same report,
Page 6 or
page 6 of the same report, the balance statement of financial position,
page 7 or page 6?
2023 accounts.
Is it page 7 or page 6?
Okay.
Page 7.
Okay. If you go on the current liabilities, you will see project accounts, restricted funds.
No, page 8.
Page 8.
Page 8. Page 8. Huh?
Yeah.
Page 8 on our report.
Please, next time just use the report we sent. No,
It's page 8.
I'm having it as different page in my report. Yeah.
I'm on page 6.
Okay. So what I'm trying to highlight here is,
Have it on page. Are we talking on, because
if you're on the balance sheet, is fine. Yeah,
20
statement of financial position. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, page 8.
ours is on page 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I'm trying to highlight is, if you look at project accounts there, restricted fund under current liabilities, we have 26 million. 26,099 million. If you go to the bank balances representing this, you are having 5.8 million. So this is something they need to look at, because the write-off relates to something like this. In the past, they would have incurred expenditures relating to this project, but they would charge it as their normal operational expenditures. So that could have been responsible why in 2020 we couldn't reconcile and we resort to writing off. In 2021, 2, 3, we have cleaned it up, but it's indicating that they are using project funds for operational purposes. that they really need to look at, because yes, so it's something.
We spoke about this, that this has come down to lack of receiving the adequate subvention, because the agency, when it comes to salaries, people need to be paid. So if we are housing projects and those projects, they have funds, then we borrow from them and continue with our operations. When we receive our subvention, then we pay the money back. So it's the accounting aspect of which is the problem, how we recorded it. So that was the issue now. But I think currently now we're not involved into that now. We are not taking funding from the projects and use it for operational purposes. We use our own funding. It's something we, to be honest, we shouldn't have to. But when salary comes, we have to find ways of getting funding to pay the salary. So instead of going to a bank and take overdraft, we are housing some money for the project, then we take it from the project and pay it back to the project. Yeah, that's the way it is. So I think we need to do further cleaning to ensure that this is not happening again. That's the.
Any comment on that?
Let me add on to that. That's a good point. There are categories of projects within the agency. You have what we call enabling activity projects. Basically, enable activity projects are small projects that are meant to support the operational aspect of the program, specific programs. Like, for example, the chemical program is not even getting any direct funding from our normal budgeted option. So the funds that they normally get through this enabling activity are funds that are used to support the agency's activity based on that program. So you have selected programs that are very much supported, mostly supported outside. The chemical program, also the ozone depleting substance program, they normally have this funding. So which means that fund is, when they need a computer, for example, we normally use those kind of funds because that has to support them to be able to carry out their work. So essentially, and some aspect also when we have this issue of salaries, as it mentioned earlier on, where we going to take an overdraft, and when we have other funds there, we tend to use that aspect as well. But basically, those are not major project funds, but these are more of what you call enable activity. These are how, that's why they gave us the leverage to be able to have that, without having a normal project, a standalone project. So you don't even have a project coordinator for that. Usually the program head serve as the project, those are the one who are implementing this, and they are not paid a salary per se, because it's part of their normal duty, operations as a staff of the agency. So they are not paid a salary, they are not paid any allowance with respect of executing those activities for the country. But it is something that they give us to support the agency's operation in terms of certain programs, the chemical program, the ozone depleting substance program as well. They are, for the past years, they have never get any money from the normal operational budget, but they normally get these things, external funding to support their program. So they call it enabling activities project. These are just small projects, but the point is very noted. And I always mention it, whenever we take it, we have to, because otherwise, when the time comes, we have to, because they also do auditing. Periodically, the auditors report, they have to see that these resources are utilized in line with what's supposed to be done. So, but it's a very important consideration that we'll henceforth take note of. Yeah. Thank you.
Members, any other comment? Okay, Honorable Bo, can you take the order analysis 3? I think there was something that you earlier on raised. I don't know whether it was conclusive. It was conclusive. Okay. On the 2.952. Okay. Then take the analysis 3 on the activity, take 3. You have the copy?
The annual activity report for 2021, 2022, and 3, it provided a useful snapshot of the general background as well as the program activities for the reporting period, with list of tables and charts of summary of key activities. Now, it is worth mentioning that the project-funded donors during the year under review have not been included in the report of the financial statement, but have been reported separately. So it will be necessary to provide us with reports of the following listed projects. For example, the Global Climate Change 2019 to 2022 EU funding, about 5.3 million. Gave 6 Land Ecosystem 2020 to 2025, which is 5.6. And the capacity building for PCBS 2019-2023 amounted to 1.998 million. So it seems those are reported separately. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The Jeff funding from Jeff and the other one is it the UPOP one? GCCA, those are external fundings. They don't include. They don't are not included in our financial statement. They are handled separately, completely, and their operations are. They have their own project coordinators, and I think the GCCA Plus and the Jeff are housed in the NEA, but their operations are completely outside the NEA's normal operation. The only, I think the directors are oversight. They do the oversight function of it.
Thank you so much, Honorable. I think this is an important point. Yeah, they are audited differently, but as executive director, you are the project director. So basically, and all other things have as the oversight function. So if those reports are required, we will make them available so that at least you see the performance of this. So essentially, only one project is active now, which is also ending in June. But the other ones, we are almost at the final. The GCCA is already concluded. We'll look for. We'll make the available report, which is also in terms of fiduciary aspect for the GCCA. It is under Ministry of Finance, so we can only supply the technical report.
Yes, they didn't do like audited accounts on those projects.
I think that one, the issue of the fiduciary is handled by NAUSU. That NAUSU. So everything related to that, we only handle the technical aspect of so not the finance. So when they make a request, the request is the impress is sent to Minister of Finance and they do the approval.
Yes.
So that can be available with the NAUSU or Minister of Finance, where the permanent secretary is the chair of that committee. So for the other ones, we can also supply reports,
yes,
audit reports,
okay,
both the audit reports and also the technical report for, even the latest audit report for Jeff 6 will be supplied, as well as the UPOPs. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So any project that you are dealing with right now that actually have audited reports, you can submit to us. The ones that are dealt with by the Ministry of Finance and NOSU, then we can deal with that with the Ministry of Finance. Yeah. Because what we are trying to do right now is we are trying to also take a look at the projects that are also outside the normal government, operations. Exactly. Yeah. Because oftentimes we have some issues with them. Sometimes you see audit reports that actually asking government to pay certain things because of the procurement they did is not in line with what they're supposed to do, and that is costing us money. So that's why we're taking a look at those audit reports as well and make people accountable. Yeah.
We'll supply those reports.
Okay,
I think our audit has been very current with all those. Every year there is always an audit for all these projects, and then we can solely supply those auditors.
Thank you very much. Yes, Chair, I think that's it. They will give us the reports that are with them, and the rest that they do not handle, we can consult with the Minister of Finance. And they will. Thank you.
Maybe add on to that, I think the UPOPs, they were audited by National Audit Office actually through UNDP, but I think we also have a report of that one. Yes.
Yes, maybe, Chair, what we can do is, you know, the issue of some of the projects from the NEA, agriculture, health, etc. Maybe we can make a comprehensive request to the Minister of Finance to provide us with all the audited accounts of those projects to the Fpac, and then we can take a look at it together with NEA.
Okay. Any other comment? Before we put to vote for consideration and adoption of the said reports, what's your final say?
Thank you very much, Chair, for giving me the opportunity to say a final say. I think, as highlighted by the Honorable Minister, the agency is very pleased to be part of this process, because as far as we are concerned, this is very important, and all other parties that are here, whether from GPPA, National Audit Office, and our external auditor, for looking at how can we do things better for the interest of the country and for the interest of the institution. So this is something that is very, very essential. And what we also request is a humble request from this august body. We highlighted some of the challenges that we have, particularly our legal instrument, that also limiting our work. And we look forward to this august body to help us some of the legal instruments that will make us to do a better job for the country. Let you help us to get those documents so that we'll be able to function the way it's supposed to be. Because we may like to do something, but we are also constrained by certain. So on that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank this august body for the time you have created, and all the expert team from the National Audit Office and the GPPA and the external auditor for giving us those guidance on how we can do things best moving forward. So I want to thank you. And also on the side, we are almost, my team is also here. The other background teams are also behind. And we look forward to working on what we have also recommended that will make our work easy. So this is something that we're going to take note, and they are here, so they know that this is something that needs to be done. And then I think we look forward to that. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you and all the expertise for the time you have created to look into this document. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. NEA, yes, Honorable. Seconder. It has been moved and seconded that the Fpac committee consider and adopt the annual reports, financial statements, and management letters of National Environment Agency 2021 to 2023 be considered and adopted. Those in favor, please say aye. And those not in favor, please say no. As on that note,
the audit for 2024 is due, and you are almost 1 year behind. And now we are trying to catch up with the backlogs. The central government actually have delivered 2024, and we've dealt with them. And the central government actually have bigger, more transactions, more complicated transactions than you. So we expect 2024 and 2025 to be submitted this year. In fact, if you can submit 2024 as soon as possible, that would be really appreciated, because we are trying to ensure that we are, sometimes it doesn't make sense. You look at something 3-4 years ago, when things have changed, policies have changed, or the way you do things have changed. It doesn't make any sense. We just sit here 2-3 hours talking about something that is stale. So that's why we want to be as close to, the update as possible here. And that would actually help all of us, including the auditors as well. Because otherwise, you give a lot of work to the auditors. Also, they be looking at 3 years, and sometimes their mandate ends on a particular period, and another one should start, but the other one cannot start when this one is actually concluded. So let's work together to ensure that we come up to date, because of, again, the law says we should submit by end of March. So let's make sure we push towards that.
Under the said reports, financial statements, management letters, 2021 and 2022 are considered and adopted. Thank you very much, NEA.
Also make a few
comments.
remarks.
You can go ahead.
Yes, basically, Honorable Chair, on behalf of the committee and on behalf of my own community, I want to thank NEA based on some of the activities they are doing for communities across the country. Right now, their support has made most neighborhoods within my community to be proactive in terms of conducting cleaning exercise on daily basis, because the materials that you give to our community right now is housed at the Red Cross. So whosoever plan to do any activity like that, you just go and borrow it and return it. So, and I want to encourage you to continue that. And equally also, I think you need to think along the line wherein, because we are in a very big community, but you know, some communities or neighborhoods, they are very proactive. So some of these organizations or neighborhoods, you need to start, you know, knowing them, because there are certain organizations or neighborhoods or communities, they contribute a lot in terms of complementing your effort. So it's high time you know those people and see what best you can support them in terms of empowering them with, you know, materials or whatsoever they may need. So on that note, definitely, I just want to recognize that and to inform you that the sun issue that I was talking about, I think you need to start thinking along the line to collaborate with National Road Authority, the council, so that at least they can remove all this line, because it's very, very hectic. But at the same time, there are certain individuals, they are taking their responsibility to clear it. So, but the problem that we are having, the moment people see you taking this sand, putting it in a wheelbarrow, then they will call the police. So now, if the authorities don't remove the sand, and people are trying to remove those sand along the highway for their own benefit, so I just want to know what can we do, you know, because right now, it's not normal for somebody to just go and do sand mining on the road. But now, the sand is equally affecting us as a community, you know. So for that being the case, I just want you to start thinking along that line to ensure that at least we have a system wherein our roads will be clear and free from dust. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jame, and all the honorable members. The National Environment Agency, as well as the auditors, this has brought us to the end of the consideration, and we urge NEA to provide the updates that were requested and the timeline given to consider those ones and do the submissions, as well as where they need to do the adjustments that could be confirmed in the subsequent reports. Also, you can act on them. And then finally, we always advise institutions henceforth, you don't need to wait for the National Assembly committee session for you to be acting on audit queries. Anytime you receive the management letters, if you do your response and you're supposed to act on those response, don't wait for the National Assembly, act on them, so that when you come here, it will be easy for us. It will be a matter of audit confirming whether the matter has been resolved or otherwise. We have closed that chapter. The audit report means business, and that business must be respected by all institutions. Otherwise, when we prepare our report, we take it to the plenary, they adopt. We will not entertain any further evidences that we may think you are having it, but rather we just forward it for action to be taken by the appropriate authorities. So that is the line of approach that we are taking, and we are urging all institutions to be cooperative. On that note, we thank you so much. We are done with you for this year, and then maybe next year, I'm not sure whether this particular committee will be sitting over your reports, because that will be election year. So on that note, we thank you so much. On that, can any honorable member move that we adjourn the sitting?
I move that we adopt, we adjourn.
Yeah, no, honorable members, sorry, I think that it will be in the agenda. Then we are done with any, now you are at liberty to take a leave. Thank you so much.